We're going to call a special meeting of the Tuolumne County Board of Supervisors for February 9th, 2016 to order. Thank you. Better? If you would please join me in a salute to the greatest flag in the world. At our Board of Supervisors meeting on January 5th, 2016, Supervisors Rutherford and Gray recused themselves due to conflicts of interest. This special meeting is pursuant to the Brown Act, and public comment is only allowed on the items listed on the agenda. Will the clerk please read our agenda item?
This is a public hearing to consider CDDG Columbia LLC mitigated negative declaration for site development permit, conditional use permit, and indemnification agreement.
Before we start, I want to thank everyone for participating this evening. This is our democratic process working at its finest, and it's important that everyone who wants to speak has the opportunity to do so, and that we are respectful of the different opinions that will be shared tonight. Once we open the public meeting, we will hear from staff and the project appellants, each for up to 15 minutes. After the board has had an opportunity to ask questions of staff and the appellant, we will open up the public comment process. Anyone wishing to speak will have 3 minutes. Any unused portion of that time cannot be transferred to another speaker. During the public comment, we will hear from project proponents, project opponents, neutral parties, and then rebuttal by proponents and rebuttal by opponents if it's. The public hearing will be closed and the board will deliberate. Ms. Shane, staff report.
Good evening, Madam Chairman, members of the board. I'm Bev Shane, Community Resources Director. This evening we are here to consider an application that had been submitted by CDDG Columbia LLC for a site development permit SDP 14-003 for the construction of a 9,100 square foot retail commercial building, a 5 foot tall, 32 square foot monument sign, and a 40 space parking lot. The proposed tenant of the commercial building is Dollar General. The applicant has also requested conditional use permit CUP 14-012 to allow 230 square feet of signage for the business. The signs include 2 attached 97.5 square foot signs, one facing Parrots Ferry Road and the other Hauser Lane, and one detached 32 square foot monument sign. This project is proposed on a 1.4 acre parcel that's located at 22345 Parrots Ferry Road at the southeast corner of the intersection of Hauser Lane and Parrots Ferry Road, locally known as the Star intersection. The project site is zoned C1D-MXAIR. What that list of alphabet means is that it's general commercial zoning, design review, mobile homes excluded, and within the airport influence area of the Columbia Airport. I want to comment that under the general commercial zoning, retail sales is a permitted use. That's why a use permit is not required for the commercial building. That is permitted. The site development permit is a discretionary entitlement that is required by Chapter 17.68 of the Tuolumne County Ordinance Code that requires this type of permit for commercial development. And so, again, because it's discretionary, your board does have the ability to determine that the project is not consistent with Chapter 17.68 or with the design guide for Columbia, because this is a design review area, or with the Columbia Community Plan. In processing this application, we do early consultation. We send out letters to adjoining property owners and advisory agencies and others who express interest in these types of projects. Through that process, we received a petition with 160 signatures stating that they were opposed to the project. We received many letters stating opposition to the project, and we did receive some letters also in favor. Through that process, we reviewed the project site, which at this time is vacant. The site has formerly housed a service station, and there is a foundation on the site that remains from that business. A few years ago, Letty's fruit stand was also on that site. At this time, however, there are no businesses. The project site is within the Tuolumne Utilities District service area, and water and sewer service are available to the site. As part of this project, we determined that there were potential impacts on such issues as traffic. So the applicant hired Katie Anderson Associates to conduct a traffic study. There were also concerns about cultural resources on the site. After all, this is Columbia, one of the most historic areas of the county. An archaeological study was prepared by ASI Archaeology and Cultural Resources Management. Through the process of preparing these studies and analyzing by staff, we did prepare what is known as a mitigated negative declaration. That process is through the California Environmental Quality Act, and what that means is that we determined that although the project did have the potential to create significant impacts on the environment, conditions of approval that are before you this evening for your consideration would reduce those impacts, or the term mitigate those impacts, to a level that is less than significant. As such, staff has prepared the mitigated negative declaration for your consideration. As part of the CEQA process, the mitigated negative declaration was made available for the 30-day public review period. We received many comments, which we have provided responses to each and every comment. That's the reason you have an agenda package that is in the neighborhood of 700 pages. We have received comments on the negative declaration and on the project, as I mentioned, concerns about traffic, not just for the cars at that particular intersection, but also pedestrians. There is a lack of sidewalks, and there are concerns, especially with this particular school being here, of children trying to cross the Parrots Ferry Road and otherwise walk along the road to go to the store. There were concerns about the design of the project itself. The original design was the standard Dollar General building. The applicant has redesigned the project to incorporate elements from the Columbia Design Guide. They have modified the length of the building by breaking it up so that it looks like small buildings rather than one large building. There were concerns about the landscaping and the size of the signage. There were concerns about the economic effects that this project would have on other businesses in Columbia. But the most common comment that we received is that the project was simply not compatible with the historic character of Columbia. And one of the reasons cited very often was that the scale of this building, although not large for a commercial building of 9,100 square feet, is larger than most of the other commercial buildings in Columbia. So again, that was an issue that was raised by the public. As part of this project and preparing it for the Tuolumne County Planning Commission's consideration, staff worked with council to prepare an indemnification agreement. So that is the fourth item that's before you this evening. The indemnification agreement between the county and the applicant would require the applicant to defend the county and pay for any expenses related to litigation that might ensue based upon your decision. The Tuolumne County Planning Commission considered this project at a public hearing here in Columbia on December 16th. At that meeting, there were over 200 people in attendance. The Planning Commission heard 7 people speak in favor of the project, and they heard 61 speak in opposition. After deliberating, the Tuolumne County Planning Commission did deny the project on a vote of 5-2. The Planning Commission is a decision-making body, according to the Tuolumne County Ordinance Code. However, as you are aware, Chapter 1768 of the Ordinance Code allows decisions of the Planning Commission to be appealed to your board. This hearing was scheduled this evening for your board to consider the same project that was heard by the Tuolumne County Planning Commission. The project has not changed since that time. The appeal filed by the applicant, Joe Dell, on December 22nd stated that they disagreed with the findings of the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission had found in its denial that the project is inconsistent with the Columbia Community Plan and the Tuolumne County General Plan because the proposed building is not small in scale compared to other commercial development in the Columbia area. And as far as denying the conditional use permit, the Planning Commission had found that the project is inconsistent with Policy 15.A.4 of the Columbia Community Plan and the Tuolumne County General Plan because the proposed signage is not compatible with the historic character of Columbia. They also found that the proposed project is inconsistent with Columbia Design Guidelines because the signage should be small to conserve the architectural style of the Columbia community. Those findings are in your agenda package for your consideration this evening. Also, however, there are findings if your board, after conducting the public hearing, decides that you want to approve it. Since the Tuolumne County Planning Commission's hearing in December and scheduling this hearing, we have received numerous correspondence about the project. That correspondence has been forwarded to your board. Most of it was received via emails. We received communication from Lynn Lewis, Norm Ivy, Pam Ivy, Larry Hall, Kendra Manthey-Neff, Jan Smith, Phil Reese, who talked about the procedure he and others will use tonight to make their presentation to your board, Mary Brown, Diane Neshy, an anonymous letter, Edward and Beverly Brown, and Janice Nelson. And then late this afternoon, we also received a letter from the law office of Donald B. Mooney. In his letter, Mr. Mooney has raised issue about the appeal itself and whether or not it was appropriate to hear the project because the applicant did not pay the appeal fee. Your board has already discussed this issue. Council has rendered an opinion to you that the hearing should proceed. As far as the fee is concerned, as you are aware, the applicant paid the county, deposited over $1,000 with the county for any costs associated with conducting these off-site hearings by the Planning Commission and your board. The amount of money that deposited far exceeded the appeal fee, and the appeal fee has been transferred from our holding account into the county treasury, and the appeal fee has indeed been paid. The one thing I want to mention is just this evening we were handed a new petition with 240 signatures, which I'll give to the board chair. And with that, Madam Chair, I'll be happy to answer your questions. With me this evening are the project planner, Alex Gilbert, a deputy CRA director in charge of roads, Duke York, and deputy county counsel, Carlin DeRivdahl. And they've all worked on this project. Thank you.
Any questions? no questions, we'll now hear from the project proponent.
They could pick it up that time. No, never mind. Came in flow. There we go. That's okay. We can turn this. Y'all have it. It's just a bigger picture of the actual site plan to talk about. It really is as a tool for anything that might be. Okay, great. It's there. Do we have any lights at all over here? Or? That's okay. It's okay. We'll, if we need it, then we can hit the lights. If not, you guys have the site plan in your packet. It's really more for visual, for talking points on the traffic study. So I'll start. My name is Joe Dell. I'm with Cross Development. I'm here tonight on the appeal of the site development permit and conditional use permit for our proposed development, which is a 9,100 square foot retail building on a commercially zoned piece of property. First, I want to thank supervisors for taking the time tonight to hear the appeal. I know it's part of the democratic process, and I appreciate it. It's, as Bev was saying, it's something we all get to take part in. And at the end of the day, respect the process. You may not agree or disagree on certain things, but that's why we're here, is to talk this out. I wanted to start by saying the county's done a great job, county staff, on creating the packet as far as the mitigated negative declaration. We reviewed all of the conditions of approval that were supplied and agreed to them. I wanted to take the time tonight to not go over the entire project with you, because you have the entire packet there in front of you, and take a lot of time doing that. But to use my time, one, to address a few I think main points that Bev brought up, and two, to have the opportunity for Ken Anderson to speak on any traffic related or traffic mitigation issues that you may have in regards to the project. So we purchased or are under contract for this piece of property. It's zoned commercial, and your package shows that pretty much all the land around this piece of property is zoned commercial. I have a feeling that the general plan was designed that way because this corridor was planned to be the main commercial corridor for the area of Columbia. So we identified this piece of property as potential developments. So the proposed development is a 9,100 square foot building. It's a pre-engineered metal building. As far as it's a metal frame, that's all that's from the two elevations visible from the road that remain metal is the two unseen sides of the building, and you have that in your elevation packets there as well. The initial design, Bev is correct, did not meet the design guidelines of the Columbia area. Wholeheartedly agree with that statement. But I do feel after nearly a year of working with Alex and the county and reviewing the Columbia design guidelines, we've come as close as we possibly can without very specific, this is what you need to do to make the building fit in Columbia. We've added, based on meetings early on with a few community members in Columbia, we were suggested to add the iron door look, add red brick, add certain features of awnings all the way around the building to make it fit more like it looked like it belonged in the state park. Our intent was never to make the building look like it belonged in the state park, but to actually just make it fit within the design guidelines as best we could for the Columbia design guidelines. So we feel we have. So there's a lot with the building. I understand the size is really the main reason we're here. Over 6,000 square feet requires a site development permit through the County of Tuolumne. If the building was 5,999 square feet, we wouldn't be having a public hearing on a site development permit, is my understanding. So I know this process is in place, and Tuolumne County has approved site development permits for very similar structures in rural areas. I can tell you that the reason we picked this area, there's a couple reasons. One, there's a large economic factor that goes into play here, and I don't think it's been addressed enough, or enough attention's been given to it. That we've done multiple studies in multiple counties in all throughout California, Trinity County, Lake County, Mendocino County, economic studies by economic people who understand and basically essentially get to the point where the county itself and the rural areas and unincorporated areas are losing sales revenue to the incorporated areas of counties. Tuolumne County is one of those. Those figures range in the tens of millions of dollars going into the incorporated areas, who are getting the tax revenue and using that in their own cities for services and goods for the people of that city. By coming to the rural areas of Tuolumne County and other counties throughout California, the county has the ability to capture lost sales that would go in other areas to incorporated areas within the county, and so, or within the city. So one of the biggest benefits of the project is sales tax revenue for Tuolumne County, and this is one store. Unfortunately, we don't know the actual sales volume of these stores. We aren't privy to that information, but we can estimate them to be around, based on economists' reports of other counties and their studies of other areas, roughly between $1.3 and $1.8 million in annual sales. And that's one store, so that gives a good boost to the local, to Tuolumne County, in which they can turn around and use those funds for services in rural Tuolumne County versus in incorporated areas like Sonora or Jackson or any other incorporated areas. So, so I'm not going to spend that's a big piece here, and I think it's missed. And I also think that part of this whole process is we're not, Dollar General's not on trial here. I know they're the proposed tenant, and I don't work for Dollar General. I work for Cross Development, and it's going to come out, and everybody's going to have their piece to speak, and I wholeheartedly think everybody should have their opinion and should speak what they feel. But at the end of the day, it's the supervisor's job to decide, is a conditional use permit or for the sign, and is a site development permit acceptable given the zoning, given the zoning laws of the county. And Again, I just have to look back to the other unincorporated areas that have already been approved, and the board has decided, yes, there are site development permits and that allot for 9,100 square foot buildings to be built in an area in which buildings are, where the site development permit limits, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's 6,000 square feet, I think is the limit, or on for site developments that require the permit. On a minimum? Okay, so mistaken there. But there is shown in Jamestown, in Salisburyville, that the board does have the ability to approve site development permits for these stores. So when it comes to the actual mitigating negative declaration in the comments, I guess the main comments or points that were brought up is traffic and safety. Big concern. That's why we hired Katie Anderson to do a traffic study. That's why he produced a report, which I believe you have. And the site plan shows the extent of the improvements that we are going with based on Katie Anderson's study, or Ken Anderson's study. The initial site plan, which you probably haven't seen or won't see, only had us doing minimal improvements to Hauser Lane. That was based on initial comments from the county. Soon into the project, we realized that a lot more had to be done. So that's why Ken Anderson was hired, and we have adopted a site plan that encompasses all of that. So it's widening the roads, widening the turn lanes, adding shoulders, adding sidewalk across the frontage, improving the turn lanes so you can get out of oncoming traffic and make your turning movement easier and safer. And so that's a big part of how we are mitigating a lot of the traffic issues there. And we're also have agreed to pay into the traffic mitigation fund and our fair share of future complete realignment of the Springfield Road and or Springfield Avenue and signaling and other items that will occur down the road. And about $35,000 is the dollar amount we're paying into that fund as our fair share of those improvements. The other concern is, and I guess the biggest one, and I have a little time to talk on it, is the actual, we don't fit the Columbia design guidelines or plan. And again, I would say yes, originally we did not fit the design of the Columbia guidelines, but following comments from citizens that we met with, following comments from the county themselves, the county director or the planning director and Alex, the planner, we do feel like we have met, as far as design, the actual look and feel of what the design guides are trying to get Columbia. And again, future growth, because there's nothing in Columbia that will look like this building for new development. This is the first stab at new development. There was a self-storage place that was built in 2009, 2010 that is closer to the state park, but on the north side of the highway, Parrots Ferry Road coming in. And you know, it's completely wrapped in metal, and it looks like a metal building. And so understand, when it comes to commercial development in Columbia, this is the first attempt at a new building, I think, that's on this Parrots Ferry corridor where it's all zoned commercial. So we understand there's a learning curve. We understand there's working with the county to meet the guidelines, and we do feel we have. So I want to give you some time to ask me questions. I hope you have some. I do have, well, I'll answer your questions as they come up, and then if time allots itself, maybe Ken can answer any questions you may have as well. But I don't think the questions are timed. I could be wrong. I don't think it's so. Thank you for your time, but I would urge you to reconsider the denial of the conditional use permit and the site development permit. I feel that we do meet the design guidelines as best we can based on reading them and trying to make them adapt to the area. But again, it's a precedence. We're setting the look for what Columbia could look like in the future for future development as well. And so the building with the look and what we've been instructed to do, I think, fits well within the current area where it's at. And so I would appreciate your consideration in approving our appeal and reversing the denial of the conditional use permit and the site development permit. and I will answer any questions you have.
Not at this time, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
So, but at this point,
Do
we're
we
wanting...
take questions from the public, or is it strictly from the board?
First cost development based on, are you a Sonora company or Columbia County company?
And so at this time,
Texas. Are you a Columbia County company?
sir, I actually think that information was in the beginning of the packet.
The people who come here need to know, but we need to just come
Okay.
and talk.
And so I would appreciate it if you would address that during your comment, and that is the next phase here.
Yeah, I'll be happy to answer any questions that come up during the public comment, for sure.
And forgive me, folks, there is a very defined process that we have to go through. We don't establish that process, but we are obligated to follow it. So with that, we are going to open up the public comment. And I would remind everyone that public comment will be held to 3 minutes, and would really request that we respect one another. And remember that everyone is here to voice their opinion. So with that, project proponents may come forward. Those speaking in favor of the project. Go ahead, sir.
Hi, my name is Robert O'Connor. I spoke at the last meeting. My name is Robert O'Connor. I spoke at the last meeting. I will try and be brief. I imagine quite a few of the things were covered by the gentleman who preceded me. I'll try not to be redundant. I would like to address the matter of the red herring that got dragged in front of the planning committee of all the yellow sashes and the costumes and things like that, representing the opinion that the historic flavor of Columbia would be destroyed if the store was established. I would gainsay that none of the 49ers flew in on the airplanes that come into the airport, which is in the same zoning district. I believe that we've had progress in numerous ways. There's an RV park closer at the Marble Quarry to the historic park than is this school. And the school in the newspaper today was stated to be a quarter mile away, though it was said the store is going to be close, but the store is further than the school. The matter of the historic flavor, we have toilets that flush now. The 49ers didn't have those. Progress is part of what brings this area into the forefront of the community, the overall county community. And I think that having a red herring of, for instance, the petition drawn about destroying the historic flavor, it's like a mom and a mom store and a mom and a pop store, all of this. The overriding concern, as I see it, is that you, the board, represent, in effect, like the United States Congress is made of state representatives and state senators that come representing their areas. Though there's gerrymandering and pork belly bills and things like that, when it comes to something that represents the whole, the entire nation, at that point, the representatives come together and make a cognizant decision to take America out of the past and bring it into the present and into the future. And I believe you have the opportunity to do that here. Though you represent your districts, you represent all the county citizens. These people deserve equal opportunity and equal access. I'll waste 22 seconds. In closing, though, I'll say this. The sidewalk needs to be built. The kids are dodging traffic all the time, store or not. Thank you.
Yeah, if you are a project proponent and want to just come on forward and kind of form a line down the center, that would be great.
Hi, my name is Heidi Fuller. My husband and I own a parcel that's a couple doors down from this proposed Dollar General, or proposed construction. And I'm appalled at the arbitrary and capricious nature of the decision made by the Planning Commission. It was a referendum on the tenant and not the building. The building is beautiful, and I think it will add to our community. And as one of the very few private property owners along that corridor, I'm very concerned that a developer can put as much time and energy and effort into this project as this developer has and still be saddled with the community opposition to what, in my opinion, is purely opposition to the tenant and not the building. The building will infill an extraordinarily blighted parcel. It won't be a new development in a green field, which satisfies just about every plan, the airport plan, the smart growth plan, and every other plan that the county has spent a lot of time and money developing for our county. It'll be smaller and shorter than the existing buildings, even buildings within the state park itself. There was a lot of discussion about damage to the stature of the state park. One of the park officials brought up the issue of delisting, which seemed to concern the Planning Commission. I would like to say in the intervening period, I have done some research and I have not found one instance, not one at the federal or state level, any other state, of a park that has been delisted for change of character of the community. In fact, a few have been delisted at all. There was concerns that this was a chain, but we've had chains. What is currently Claude's Market was a Curves for Women, a national chain. We've had a Frosties here, and somehow the state park has survived and thrived. The small businesses within the state park, the candy shop, or outside the state park, El Jardín, they themselves are chains. Small ones, but economically healthy and growing businesses. And that's what we want to see come to Tuolumne County. There was the issue of the traffic. Any successful business, regardless of what goes in there, will increase traffic.
Okay, we'll run the meeting, and again, I'm going to ask for respect. Thank you. I have a quick announcement. There is a red Cadillac, license plate 7AF2120, that is blocking a vehicle that is trying to leave. All right.
So I'm one of the owners of the property, and I've been an owner for the last 15 years. We actually had a business there during like 15 years. It was a very busy location. We were the owners of Letty's Fruit Stand. You know, for us, we never felt that there was actually an issue in traffic. You know, exiting or during school hours, during drop-off, we never actually saw that that was ever an issue. In terms of the sidewalks and pedestrian safety control, we do agree that that is an issue that needs to be addressed, regardless if there is a general built there or not. One of the most personal advantages of the business in the local economy is the boost of employment in the region. Businesses pay significant portions of taxes in the United States, including income tax, property tax, and employee tax. Having more businesses in the local economy can boost income for local governments, bringing in more money for repairing roads and developing schools or improvement in public services. If your argument is to keep Columbia historic, then you are prohibiting any owner of the property to make any use of the property. Furthermore, the Peppermill Cafe has shut down various times, has been opened multiple times during the time as us being an owner that we've seen in the property, neglecting any historic aspect of the property. Friendly competition will cause the overpriced markets in the surrounding areas to reevaluate their current sale prices and not overcharge their customers for the convenience of not driving into Sonora. We saw a Yelp review for the Arnell Market that quotes it's worth to drive extra 2 miles to the Arco in Sonora because everything in the mini mart is overpriced, either 50 or 75% higher. Finally, by allowing Dollar General to build its store, the current drug use, property damage, homelessness that has been an issue there since we've been owners of that property can be reduced or probably even be eliminated. Since our time there at the property, we have encountered theft and found uses of needles on a daily basis. And we have contacted law enforcement on various occasions. During the 15 years of my family have come to know the community, and we personally do not believe that the Dollar General will cause any negative effect on our community. The arguments against this project are all based on hypothetical situations. If anything, we will create a healthy competition, will pressure the local to create safer traffic control for the community, will increase local economy and create job opportunities.
Thank you. They do not, and just for reference, you do not have to state your name in a public hearing. Are there any other proponents that would like to speak in favor of the project? All right, seeing none, I'll ask for project opponents to come forward, please.
Hi, my name's Chuck Keel. I oppose the Columbia Dollar General store. When so many citizens demand that its construction be stopped, it should be stopped. The supervisors should act in accordance with the wishes of the citizens of Columbia, not outside money interests. Consider the board's proposed revised general plan, which makes future public input nearly impossible, giving developers a free hand. Our board's revised general plan would allow a Dollar General to be built without citizen input, while eliminating the rights of citizens to fight what is not in their best interest. If the board approves Dollar General in Columbia, we should replace them with supervisors who are responsible to the people of Tuolumne County. Not the citizens of Tennessee. The proposed general plan should be rejected, and so should the Columbia Dollar General store. Thanks.
Hello, thank you for giving us all an opportunity to share our views. My name is Bruce Meissner. My family has owned and operated the 49er RV Ranch about a half-mile north of the state park for over 35 years. And during that time, we've had campers come literally from around the world. And the one thing that they love about coming to Columbia is stepping back in time, seeing the historical nature of the town. And on top of that, a lot of people that come up here regularly from Modesto or Turlock, they love coming up here to get away from the homogeneous businesses that they see every day in their hometown. They love coming to the mom and pop businesses up here that sometimes may be a little backwards running, but some of the campers have told me it reminds them of going to Mayberry on the Andy Griffith show. So I want to do everything that we can to preserve that feeling, to keep the small community feeling that people come here for, because I'm afraid that if we lose that, then we're going to lose the attractive nature that brings the outside tourists here. I do want to thank Dollar General for making an attempt to go from their square box to try to make it fit in here. And I remember at earlier meetings they did say that it was just going to be cost prohibitive for them to make it fit the requirements of the Planning Commission. And I do want to commend them on the effort they've given, but unfortunately it's in my opinion just going to look like a movie set and not one of the historical buildings down here. So in closing, I just want to say that I do know mistakes have been made in the past along the corridor, but I don't think that's any reason to repeat any mistakes. That we should do what we think is right to move forward and not repeat past mistakes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm John Watson. I've worked as a street musician in Columbia for 20 years. During that time, people have come up to me to say, I remember you from when my parents brought me here when I was a kid, and now I'm here with my kids. Another thing people say is, we like the area. My sister from Indiana said, the area has a nice feel. For the sake of our economy, we need to be careful with this feeling of Columbia as a small town in the country that can give a respite from modern life. The proposed Dollar General building is big, it's tall, it's awkward, it's going to stick out. In appearance, it could be the anchor store for a de facto strip mall along Parrots Ferry Road. Like what we see in strip malls everywhere, it's a low-cost building with some doodads and gewgaws tacked on to a facade to suggest a theme. Not every visitor will notice that the architect specified cost-efficient king-size brick instead of the smaller standard size that better matches the brick used in Columbia. But visitors will see the fake shutters and the fake iron doors. And they will know this building for what it is, a phony misfit. And it may well remind them of places they would rather not think about. And we can imagine them telling their friends how disappointed they were to see that building there in Columbia. For them, the unique and precious jewel, which is Columbia, will have lost some of its luster because of damage to the setting. This project is bad for business. It lessens the quality of what we have to offer. It erodes our competitive edge, and it harms our word-of-mouth reputation. For economic opportunity, we're better off without it. It should not be approved. I thank you.
Blacksmith shop. I'm speaking today because of the Dollar General. If we put a Dollar General here, it's only leading to a disaster. Say you put one small thing here and it leads on and on and on. We will be in another San Francisco. It's like when the car was invented, the horses were used less. Then the light bulb was invented and the candle was used less. So if there is a Dollar General here, this town will be useless. I will not step foot in your Dollar General store. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, there are 3 cardinal rules to retail. Location, location, location. And this one could not be worse. I'm Jo Rotifer, a member of the Columbia School Board. The entire board really wanted to be here, but my fellow board members are over in room 9 conducting our monthly meeting. When this was first brought to our attention, our board sent a letter strongly opposing the Dollar General store, or as I like to call it, injuries are us. You're going to hear many reasons tonight why this location is a terrible idea, but our concern is a safety issue that Mr. Dill referred to. The newspaper this morning said the proposed store is 1/4 of a mile from here. According to my odometer, it's 2/10 of a mile. Either way, it's way too close to an elementary school. There are kids walking along that road all the time. The Planning Commission meeting, their engineer explained to us what the Dollar General's peak hours were, and funny thing, they happen to coincide to exactly the same time that the school traffic is the heaviest. So combine heavy school traffic and students, staff, with people darting in and out of Dollar General. That's a disaster waiting to happen. I'm very familiar with this intersection since I live about 1/4 of a mile from it, and I'm also a vendor in the farmery at the airport. It's a hinky hunk of road already, everybody's discussed that, and adding that traffic is only going to make it worse. The traffic study / plan that I originally saw had no provisions for sidewalks or crosswalks. Apparently that's been modified. But more importantly, their conspicuous absence, I think, speaks to an attitude on Dollar General's part. It speaks volumes about the obliviousness to and the disregard for the reality of that area. That's not a good neighbor candidate. There are several requirements that this project has to be consistent with, and I would add one more: common sense, and I think that's what the Planning Commission agreed with. So whatever redeeming features another Dollar General might have for our county, I think they are heavily overridden by the downsides of this store at this location, and I would ask you to please uphold the Planning Commission's decision.
Hello. I spoke at the last meeting about the Dollar General, and I stand by what I said then. I would like to point out, though, why are the traffic infrastructure improvements, why do they hinge on there being a new Dollar General here? It seems very necessary that they be put in place in any case. Anyway, that's really all I have to say right now.
Hello, my name is Don Morrison. I'm speaking against Dollar General. I see no point that we need 3 or 5 Dollar Generals in this small rural county. If you've been following the paper recently, you will see that Walmart is abandoning anywhere from 150 to, I heard, up to 500 stores, mostly through the Midwest in small towns. That leaves the town, after Walmart has been there, generally without another store. There's one in Texas. It was on the news a few days ago where the guy in the store owns the store said he won't even open it again. He can't afford it. So the town now is left basically with nothing. They have a big, empty building. And another question would be, is Dollar General going to have off-sale alcohol? Or do they generally? I don't know. I've never been in one. Closing up, I think Dollar General is a project that is being put in simply for the sake of building. And I don't think that's good. That's sort of the ideology of the cancer cell. Build or develop and die. Thank you.
Sharon Marovich of the Tuolumne Heritage Committee. The Tuolumne Heritage Committee believes you have a legal responsibility to uphold the Planning Commission's decision on the Dollar General store in Columbia. We ask you not to overturn their ruling because you would irrevocably compromise Columbia's community identity as defined in the general plan and give a green light to sprawl and inappropriate buildings that would despoil the area around Columbia State Historic Park. Section 17.68.100 of the County Ordinance Code requires well-designed commercial buildings for the site involved. Dollar General's Plano, Texas architect has produced a building that is comprised of 2 exterior walls that resemble hangars at Columbia Airport and 2 other walls that look like 2 blocks of a Hollywood set that were run through an industrial-sized trash compactor. This isn't architecture, it isn't even design. It is a structural freak and a blight on the lovely old face of Columbia. The exterior design fails to comply with the Columbia Design Guidelines, the Columbia Area Plan in the General Plan, and the Community Identity element also in the General Plan. The landscaping plan also fails the General Plan test. Ponderosa pines, a defining feature of Columbia, would be cut down and not replaced, and other vegetation not typical of the area would be introduced. As for the signage, extra signage, who needs it? Parrots Ferry Road is a country road not suited for freeway-style signage. Please also deny the conditional use permit that would add to the disfigurement of a road the General Plan considers eligible for heritage corridor status. As you consider Dollar General's appeal, please keep in mind that the gateway to the park deserves to be protected from garish, modern, and inappropriate buildings and signs that distract from the visitor's trip back into time and local residents' held pride of place. Please pay no attention to the siren song of the potential tax dollars trotted out by developers with poorly planned projects. Columbia's ambience and history are priceless. She is the gem of the Southern Mines and not a cash register for a Tennessee company.
Good evening. My name is Ken Valenta. I have 3 children between the age of 18 and 30 years old. Jobs in this community is a real hard thing to come by, especially a decent job. Most of these businesses in this area, Columbia area, are owner-operated, sole proprietor businesses. Struggling, as you know, they struggle in this community. A lot of them don't make it even through the winter season because it's very difficult. Bringing in a corporation store and putting it right in the middle of the heart of this community, right here in Columbia, this is its own little community, needs to remain mom and pop stores. This will hurt other businesses that are already here. It provides no meaningful employment to the people of Tuolumne County. These are jobs like at Walmart, from a big corporation. They're a go-nowhere job. We don't need those kind of jobs. We need sole proprietors. By bringing in this corporation, we are hurting other people that want to start up mom and pop stores because now they have to compete with the buying power of a corporation. Wrong. That doesn't belong here. Too close to the park. If they want to do this, fine. Take it to the end of Parrots Ferry Road. I'm good with that. Maybe other people aren't. But there's a nice commercial development they've been trying down there. It's further enough away from the park. Please, take it down there. As you can see, the people of this community are not welcoming the Dollar General store this close to the state park, which is the blood of this community, why people retired, like myself, I'm a retired contractor, came up here. Why did I ask where the development company was? Because it's from Texas. Probably provides little or no jobs, even in the construction of the building. Again, back to jobs. What can we do to employ people in our community? My children had to move. Santa Clara, Palo Alto, they had to leave. Now I have to drive hours to go visit my own children and my own grandchildren. No, please. I know you guys have a hard job, and it really sounds like they're prepared to attorney up and sue us now. Hello, we're the little community. We're going to get sued by the big corporations so they can stick their eyesore in the middle of where we don't want them. Look around behind you, please. We don't want your store here. Thank you.
Just 1 second. Sir, 1 second, please. There's a gray Dodge Durango, license CAT020, that's blocking a couple vehicles that are trying to leave. Thank you.
Okay. My name is Robert Baker. I've been a resident of Columbia since 1978. I don't know how closely you have reviewed the minutes from the Planning Commission meeting, so I'll start with this statement with a brief review. There is overwhelming evidence to deny this project based on the legality or lack thereof relative to the county's general plan. Approving this project at this location without proper traffic mitigation shows a complete lack of common sense. We have all heard how Dollar General is paying their share of fees. Unfortunately, their share does nothing to solve the problems inherent with that location. Out-of-state corporate interests will get what they want, but we will be left with a costly, dangerous traffic mess that the county will never be able to resolve. The county can't afford to take care of the existing roads. How are they going to come up with well over $1 million to properly realign that intersection? With regards to property rights, let me remind you that no property owner has unbridled rights to do whatever they please on any parcel in this county. I am quite sure that Springfield Estates is zoned mobile exclusion, and why is that? Because single-wide mobile homes don't belong in a neighborhood filled with 3,500 square foot homes, just like the county's general plan says that a business like Dollar General does not fit in with Columbia community. Enough about the legal aspects. Let's look at this from a moral and ethical point of view. How is it that you can look yourself in the mirror after approving a retail outlet that sells tainted products? The level of toxic substance in a number of Dollar General products far exceeds safe levels set by the FDA. You need to do your homework because what I'm saying is documented fact. By bowing down to this type of corporate greed and irresponsibility, you are selling out the very people that elected you. So what we're really looking at here is a store that sells imported cheap items, substandard food, cost to county taxpayers, traffic congestion, and safety issues, all while being detrimental to existing businesses both in and out of the state park, as well as diminishing our community integrity. I'm asking you to use some common sense. Do not allow this project that is ethically bankrupt. Let me remind you that as a supervisor, you are supposed to represent the desires of this community. If you do not represent our will, you can bet that we, the people, will do our very best to make sure that you never again have that opportunity. And finally, Carl Rodefer, if there is not a law or ordinance on the books making it a crime for you to vote, then you need to vote. Just because you accidentally signed a petition is not a valid excuse for not voting. At the very least, you need to tell us how you would vote and be a part of this process, because how you vote tonight is going to determine how the people in your district vote in the future. Thank you for this time.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Hart Drobish. I run a business out at the airport, Courtney Aviation. And tonight I'm looking at this group and I'm saying common sense says a community somehow has a right to be able to exercise an influence on what kind of business comes in. There's been a lot of things said which indicate that it's not in compliance or in conformity with the intent and want of the Columbia Area Plan. Obviously the community has issues with it, so if you take and look at what do you have to gain, what do you have to lose with a circumstance. We look at the fact that basically a store coming in for retail, as opposed to something like, say, a manufacturing facility which takes raw materials, puts it together, adds value, and then sells it, bringing money back in. A retail type business such as this is like a funnel which takes the money from the community and funnels it out. And as you look at the impact of a chain store on a community, coming from an Institute for Local Self-Reliance, this is from 2000, it says, chain store proliferation has weakened local economies, eroded community character, impoverished civic and cultural life. And that was 16 years ago, and it continues. The U.S. government, in a study in the last 2013 to 14, identified the fact that the disparity between those with money and those with less is increasing. And there's a significantly proportional increase in the number of dollar-type stores, Dollar General being one. Obviously, this indicates that a need or an opportunity to extract from the lesser income component in our country. And obviously, coming in here, bringing cheap products that are going to break and cause you to respend is not necessarily helping the people of the community. Additionally, if you look at the fact that there's a great cost, even if chain stores do save us a few dollars now and again, it's a great cost. Chain stores contribute less to the economy than independent businesses. And when you look at the multiplier effect of the dollars spent locally, it's 1/8 for a chain store, and it's about 1/2 for the value to the rest of the community. So in terms of value for economy, it's not there. The money's going away. The taxes are going to stay in our own community anyway. We need to make consideration for the fact that in this community there's a heart. It's pretty well represented by this community here. Somewhere there's a center which by common sense says we don't need to change the character with that kind of a store, regardless of what's in it or how it looks. The general effect, as I believe John spoke so well, is of reducing the rural character and coming back to another place and time and community that's small and has integrity. And I would encourage you to turn down the proposal for this project. Thank you.
Good evening, supervisors and county staff. I'm Beetle Barber. I've lived in Columbia for 38 years, and I'm really proud to be a part of this community. You can see that we're very passionate people, and I think that's a good thing. I'm not sure that we all completely understand each other. You may be looking out at us and thinking that there's a big no-growth component here. I've talked to you before about growth, and you know that I do support growth, and I don't think that the majority of the people here are opposed to growth. I think we understand the arguments about needing economic progress in this county. The misunderstanding may be occurring on the other side too, because people in this audience may be looking at you and thinking that all you think about is the almighty dollar, which is basically translates into economic health for the county, and also the idea that we need to have private property rights overriding everything. And you know, that is a core value. That is something that I know you need to consider seriously. I've been in your chambers many different times, and I've heard your decision-making process, and I have confidence that you will decide the right thing. It's a tough decision, but I'll tell you something that is not a tough decision. Take a look at the Dollar General flyer. You know, we've spent the last 2 or 3 years working with public health departments in a couple of different counties to help wean young children away from 2-liter sugary beverages and the other things that are represented in this flyer. I was really surprised when this came out in the local paper because I thought maybe they would put their best foot forward. If this is their best foot, our children don't need this, and we can all agree on that. Thank you.
My name is Ashwin Modi. I am the owner of RNL. The subject property has non-contamination. The third tank is not found yet. And still, not a single well is driven to test underground water. While in RNL, we have about 12 wells driven with no contamination found about the legal limit. Still, state wants to drill some more well. So I believe this land has a lot of contamination, and that's why California State Department, Water Department has not cleared this land for use. If approved, nobody can stop me to bring Family Dollar. I will bring Family Dollar here, and they will love to come because they did not accept Dollar General offer. If the 230 square feet of sign is above the legal limit of 130 square feet allowed. If approved, I will apply for bigger sign, and very soon the historic Columbia town will become history with full of signs and square buildings. Under County Ordinance Section 17.68100, the Commission had legal grounds to deny the site development, but County did not. Board of Supervisors has to answer that question. Under Section 17.68120, parking next to the Parrots Ferry Road is not in the Columbia Design Guidelines. So to approve the Dollar General, first we have to change the Columbia Design Guidelines before we can allow any kind of construction. I believe that Dollar General will bring a very bad name to Columbia, and very soon historic Columbia will disappear in the market. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to us. My name is Lynn Lewis. I'm a relative newcomer here. I've only been in this county, in this town, for about 3 years now. My mother built a home up here on 20 acres about 12 years ago. I have seen our property value drop from $500,000 to $300,000 since then. I also see if we bring in more low-income housing, more low-income buildings, more low-income businesses, I see my property value going down as well. I am not, as well as many of these other people, anti-growth. Quite the opposite. I'm pro-growth because I want to see my property values go on. However, there's a difference between smart growth and, well, not really looking at the future growth. There will be many people before me and many more after me that are much more eloquent and will give you legal reasons that you can legally turn this down. One of the things I want you to think about is my child here and the many other children that go to the school and the traffic mitigation. Are you doing it at the same time? Are they going to make mitigations to the traffic or the danger to my child at the same time the store is being built? Or is it going to be a month or 2 or 20 years down the road? I understand there is no funding for that. I also don't believe that putting a traffic light right there will mitigate the traffic. I think if you look at studies, you will find that it actually increases the traffic. Quite honestly, there's several children that are going to try and cross that street and go over to that cheap candy store. And you're going to have a death on your hands, okay? I'm afraid for it. I want to see our community grow. I want to see it grow intelligently. I want to see our children have something, but here's the one thing I said last time too. Show my daughter that democracy works. You see all the people here that are against it. I don't know, are there any of you supervisors that live in this town? And is this your priority? I don't think so, but it is ours. So please show my daughter that democracy works, that the many have a say. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Nancy Kirk. I've been a longtime resident of Columbia. I've seen a lot of changes throughout the county, some good, some bad, and some of you do know me up there. The corridor leading into Columbia State Park has very few commercially zoned properties that remain vacant. Proposed developments should be in compliance with Columbia Community Plan Policy Goal 15.A.8. Protect and improve the scenic quality along Parrots Ferry Road corridor as a gateway to our beautiful Columbia State Historic Park. A Dollar General store or any other large or small box store will not improve the scenic quality of the corridor. No matter how the developer tries to make it look old-fashioned, the trademark sign of the Dollar General will still be excessively large on the road, look just like every other Dollar General store anywhere in California, or I guess even outside of California. Tourists come to our state park for that special historical small town feel and all the qualities that it has to offer. The stagecoach, the old-fashioned candy store, things that they cannot get in their local town. A Dollar General store would distract from their experience of the encounter of something unique and different from their own hometowns. It has been said in a previous election, you can put lipstick on, and I won't have to finish it, but it's still not going to fit in our community. Columbia State Park depends on tourism, and the CCP implementation program 15.C.E support the Columbia business community in their efforts to promote tourist industries in and around our historic state park. A Dollar General store is not a tourist-related business and I cannot see how you can mitigate or justify this program away. I can go on and list many other items that the Dollar General proposal would not only be a bad decision by the people we have voted in to represent our interest, but it also goes against many policies and programs of the community plan. I'm sure that you can see by now clearly, you can see now clearly, are aware of our concerns for Columbia. I also would like to speak to the fact that we have a Dollar General store within 10 minutes of Columbia. I really take it personal that the proponents for this building think that we are not capable, if we wanted to shop at a Dollar General store, we could not drive to Jamestown. Thank you.
I'm Barbara Balin. On December 16, 2015, the Planning Commissioners heard the arguments and voted 5-2 to deny this project. Commissioner John Latour stated it simply: Columbia is special. Columbia is California's best example of a rural, rustic, and spirited living historic community. Governor Earl Warren summed it up in his 1945 dedication speech: there is no place in California that is more truly Californian. From the park's creation, state and county officials worried that encroachment along the park's scenic corridors could cheapen and devalue Columbia as a living California legacy. 50 years ago, state officials pointed to the need for zoning protection to make certain future growth is not compromised by a carnival-like atmosphere created by private interests to exploit the increasing number of park visitors at the expense of undermining the historical foundation of the park. That was Modesto B, 1965. How did we move so far away from taking care of the jewel in its setting to a point where 9,100 square foot corporate retail project with 79 conditions would not have an impact on the park as a living historic community? The answer lies in the cross-developments slide presentation shown at the Planning Commission hearing. It was a driving tour of Parrots Ferry Road. Each slide was staged to show an unflattering image of the corridor: clutter, asphalt, commercialism, and their collective visual impact. All the unflattering examples and none of the good examples of adherence to the design guidelines, like the Columbia Village townhomes and Columbia Nursery. The message was one of ridicule, of course, but the point was this: if you don't care, why should we? If you don't care and take your design guidelines seriously, why should we? Ironically, the PowerPoint was actually saying, see, cumulative impacts do add up. Projects like the Dollar General do add up and will slowly convert the historic experience if we are not careful. Let's not put ourselves in this situation again. Please support the Planning Commissioner's decision and the findings that this project is not consistent with the Columbia Community Plan, whose mandate is to preserve and enhance the community identity, including Columbia's rural small-town atmosphere. Let's not continue down the path of undermining the historical foundation of the park. Instead, let's uphold the spirit of its visionaries who, in creating this park, challenged us to protect its significance on behalf of the state of California and beyond. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Susan Lipscomb. I've been living in Columbia for most of my life. The Dollar General's report states that they are going to have no bigger impact on the TED system than a single-family dwelling. That's a pretty big family dwelling. In the report, they don't allot any water for landscaping, which is part of their plan, so they're going to rely on the rain for their landscaping, and it's just going to be dead and dry and ugly the rest of the time because they have not allotted any water to water their landscaping, and they have no water allocated to janitorial. I'm hoping that they will at least spend 20 gallons of water a day to mop their massive floors. If they're going to have a store, they at least need to be clean. There are other infrastructure problems, and you've heard all of the historical problems. You realize that we don't want this store in our community, and if they are so willing to conjure up non-facts about their water usage, what else are they conjuring? Thank you for your time.
Good evening. My name's Russell Tate, and I live next door. My concerns are the traffic. I worked for the largest tow company in this county for 25 years as a supervisor and tow operator. And at that time, there were 2 other companies on rotation. I have worked 1 truck fatal on Springfield Road, and I've worked 1 truck rental in that general area of the 3 intersection. And I've been retired for 10 years. The traffic had to increase since then, and I don't have any current statistics. Okay, quite a few of the accidents were severe. Some were fender benders. There has to be, at this time, more increased traffic. Everybody that drives the road knows that. The entrance to the Columbia Historical Area, I defer to a lot of the other good people here that are testifying tonight. The impact to the couple that operate the mini mart next door, that sells some of the items that this store would sell, and also my neighbor that has just started a new business, the market, Cottage Market, next to the post office. And I understand that the way the impact fees or the road service fees are set up, I don't think that, $35,000 is a very fair share. This county, and when the road work possibly gets done, if this is voted in, is going to cost the taxpayers buku money. I mean, a lot. The truck traffic from the mine down off of Parrots Ferry Road is over 100 trucks a day, and that's coming in and going out. Not all of them, but a very good portion of them. It shakes the house I rent and live in every time one goes by. We're just lucky we haven't had, with the conditions of the road and the traffic, that we haven't had any fatals with a big rig. I have to commend their drivers that come into this area, and that particular business supplies a lot of good jobs to this county, well-paying jobs. Like I said, the road work is going to, cost a lot of the taxpayers an awful lot of money if you approve this. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Marty Olson. I believe I speak for most people here when I say I'm pro-business. My dad owned a meat market in the Santa Cruz Mountains. He joined with his friend who owned a grocery store, and they created what they called a supermarket. The winters were slow, but the summers were busy with tourists. Theirs was an independent store that appealed to visitors from the Bay Area who came to spend the summers in their cabins. It was part of the charm of the area. Does that sound familiar? We've all seen the Dollar Generals in Jamestown and Soulsbyville. These are small box chain stores that shout out to us as we drive by. You can't miss them. That's the idea. The numbers of these stores is amazing. There are 12,000 in the U.S. and growing. Currently, there are 147 in California. 3 in Merced, 3 in Sacramento, 3 in Manteca, 4 in Visalia, 5 in Stockton, 6 in Modesto, 6 in Fresno, 8 in Turlock, and 9 in Bakersfield. Where are the stores in the rest of the United States? New Orleans has 15 Dollar General stores. Dallas, Texas, 15. St. Louis, Missouri, 15. Columbus, Ohio, 15. Nashville, Tennessee, 15. Are we beginning to see a trend here? Dollar General at the entrance to our state historic park is an abomination. Do you want that abomination to be part of your legacy?
please say no.
I'm Jim Olson. I live up the hill here. 147 stores in California, in patches between 3 and 8, in small towns and large. It seems like a virus. Could mosquitoes be involved? I think not. Or let us be the vaccine. Let the virus spread to our community. We live up on Telegraph Hill. We overlook the old Columbia Schoolhouse and cemetery, which are visible from the edge of our property. We've been there 15 years. My wife and I were privileged once again back in December to join the Columbia community to celebrate the holidays. We gathered for the potluck dinner that comes together each year simply because local residents talk to each other and agree to contribute a dish. There are no formal invitations. People just know the date and time of the gathering. Columbia's merchants contribute raffle items with the local Chamber of Commerce's urging and leadership. It seems that all Columbia merchants were represented at the dinner. The only outsider-owned entities represented were our own post office employees. The point is, at this time, Columbia is an uncommon community that hosts no outside corporate giant in its historic area. People know each other and are comfortable with the unique status of their town as a state park that preserves history you can see, but also a history in the sense of the present small community spirit and must have been alive when the park was created. Will Mr. Rick Dreiling, CEO of Dollar General, controlling nearly 12,000 stores in 43 states, join us in our celebration of community on December 14th, 2016? Let us keep Columbia historic. Let us not invite a corporation to locate one of its more than 12,000 branches at this highly visible crossroads. The first visual impression of visitors to this unique historical area must not be one of just another corporate box, similar to those that mark the entrances to so many American towns that lack Columbia's distinction. Keep Columbia historic. Thank you.
I'm Janet Russell. I am speaking because as you are weighing out the economics of having a store like Dollar General, even if not Dollar General specifically, but any kind of a store of that nature in that location, comparing that with the economic effect on the rest of the community. What we have to sell here in Columbia is history. Anything that damages the history is going to damage the core business of Columbia. It is not worth damaging the core of Columbia for anything that is essentially large and chain store. The developer mentioned that the stores in Jamestown and in Soulsbyville have not damaged those communities, and I would agree. But those communities, those locations had excellent traffic areas. There were no issues with having to do major $2 million renovations for a company to be there. And they did not have a lot of pedestrian traffic, so you didn't have to worry about kids getting hit or people who live in the mobile home parks getting hit, who are also walking around in that area. As you're considering the economics of it, I think that it would make more sense to support the Planning Commission's decision.
Hello, my name is Pam Connors, and the Union Democrat, if you read the paper this morning, characterized the community's meeting tonight as pitting preservation-leaning locals who want to retain the town's rustic gold rush persona against business-minded people who emphasize jobs, growth, and economic development. And as a lot of the people who've already spoken to you have said, my guess is that very few to no people in this room are really against business, jobs, economic growth, or development. Instead, I think many of us know a Dollar General would be a blow to the core character of the town, a distinct character that is the major economic foundation for Columbia. Perhaps if we shift the context to my zip code, because I live in Sonora, it can illustrate my point. Remember when the 7-Eleven convenience store was built at the north end of downtown, across the street from the Red Church? There was a lot of contention about that. And a 7-Eleven was ultimately allowed to build its store. And among the provisions meant to soften the incongruity of such a store at the north gateway to historic downtown Sonora were tamed exterior lighting and a frontier facade. For its own reasons, 7-Eleven's parent corporation eventually abandoned Sonora store after just a few years of operation. But especially once it was built, people knew that although lighting and a frontier facade softened the out-of-place visual effect of the company's original proposal, the mitigations just couldn't make a 7-Eleven belong at that location. Like a dollar store in Columbia, opposition to the 7-Eleven was not against commercial enterprise at all. Instead, it was against a particular kind of enterprise that was disconnected from the goals of a community struggling to identify and preserve the character of its historic areas that are, by their nature, always dwindling and always at risk. We want enterprise that supports and enriches Columbia's economic and social vitality, rather than chipping away at it. I believe a vote against Dollar Store in Columbia is a vote for Columbia as a unique, distinctive community that values its historic qualities and works to harmonize its economic development with them. Please vote against the Dollar Store in Columbia. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Pat Connert, otherwise known as Mark Twain. I've been known to portray Mark Twain on occasion, even in Columbia, and I've haunted these canyons surrounding Columbia since 1983, especially in the Mormon Creek area. Now, I'm going to implore, and I'm speaking tonight on the behalf of Mr. Clemens. I feel I can speak for him. I've done it many times. I implore you to vote this project down. This is why. This project will interrupt the historic gold rush ambience of Columbia. Columbia, there's only one Columbia. There are thousands of Dollar Generals. In fact, they're building 600 this year. They're building one about every 6 hours. There's no shortage of Dollar Generals. Columbia is unique in its gold rush character, and that is the economic bread and butter of Tuolumne County. It's the bread and butter of small business owners right here in this community. It is the custom, culture, and lifestyle of the people who live here. Now you can look around this room and you can see plainly the people don't want this store. They don't want it. Now this evening's vote will be a touchy and a very dicey situation. It's a tough vote. It's free enterprise versus the community. Now I am for free enterprise, but I'm not for free for all enterprise. And you know all of that profit is going to go to Tennessee. Now I'm not against Tennessee. They make some damn good whiskey in Tennessee. But it's not for us in Columbia, not here. So this evening, I would say this vote has to be taken carefully, very carefully. Otherwise, you may just end up with Mark Twain running for county supervisor. Thank you.
My name is Reverend Jim Lipscomb. I'm a native of Tuolumne County. I've lived in Columbia since 1980 after I came back from the military. I moved to Columbia because of the historic state park and the lack of urban sprawl that was happening everywhere else in the county. Right now, we have the Dollar General in Soulsbyville. We have the Dollar Tree in the Junction. We have the 99-cent store next to Orchard in Sonora. We have the Dollar Tree or Dollar General in Jamestown. How many of those do we need in the county? Don't we have enough of the small businesses that have been driven out by corporate greed? Are you guys going to let corporate take over the whole county, including Columbia? We don't want them there. We don't need them here.
Good evening. I don't know if you've noticed, I am a docent at Columbia State Historic Park, and one of the better dressed docents. Most of my points have already been covered, so I'd just like to go over a few things. You know, we do have our own gold mine sitting right over there. Now, if the state and the county would get together and form a team and support it, we could be as famous as Plymouth Plantation, Sturbridge Village, Colonial Williamsburg, or Sovereign Hill in Australia. And I'd like to have any of you supervisors talk to me about this in downtown Columbia. Now, Sovereign Hill was founded a few years after our gold rush in 1851 in Australia. In the park, they have 350 paid positions and 200 volunteers. What do you think that would do to our economy? It would be amazing, wouldn't it? I'd like to close by, there was a man that supported Tuolumne County and all of California. His name was Hugh Hauser, and he stood at Hauser Lane. What do you think he would do if he found out that there was going to be a Dollar General on Hauser Lane? He'd roll over in his grave. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Alan Silver. I'm kind of the new kid on the block here. Many years ago, I started coming up here. I fly, and I've landed at over 230 airports in California and kept coming back to this airport. It's the most pristine airport in the community. Since that time, about 3.5 years ago, I decided to move my business up here, and I'm located on the airport. And since that time, I've had so many of my friends. Just this week alone, I've had 3 aircraft fly up here from different destinations, and the one comment is, we come here because it's a destination, it's historic. They walk the historic trail by the school, they walk down Airport Road, and that's the last thing they want to see is a Dollar General. They come back and they said, I can't believe what I've seen in this town. And it's not uncommon for weeks later that they come up here with their families to come up here and enjoy this historic part of this beautiful, beautiful area. And it is pristine, and I hope as elected officials to represent the people that you will do so. Thank you.
I'm Alex Staticky, and I spoke in December. I've done a little bit of research since then, and one of the more important things that I found was that in 2014, the Dollar General store wanted to put in a new store in Kelseyville. Now, I don't know if all 3 of you are aware, but the Planning Commission denied that project. And of course, Dollar General, the Texas-based firm, Texas-based corporation, actually, was the one that appealed. The result of that was one or more of the county supervisors recuse themselves. That sounds familiar. And at the end of the night, they denied the project. The Board of Supervisors denied the project. Why? And this is almost a mirror image of what we're hearing here. Of course, there was traffic issues. There was a school, okay? And the bigger factor, the heavy factor was the people said, in that community, the people said, this does not represent the character of our community. And that was hard to get to as far as researching and Googling and so forth. I was getting pretty frustrated, but that was a piece of information that, first of all, shocked me, and you people, I think, are looking at me, and I think that's a piece of information you could carry forth here. I talked about the Alamo the last time. How close did they put a Dollar General store next to the Alamo in Texas? Okay, just for a piece of trivia, they were able to get within 0.6 of a mile of the Alamo. So, corporate rights are very strong in Texas, and that's what this is really about: is corporate rights versus community rights and home rule.
My name is Joe Speragna, and I'm with the Tuolumne County Historical Society, and I'm the chairman of the Landmarks Committee. And we're blessed to have 2 state historic parks in Tuolumne County. I'm a docent at Railtown 1897, been there for now 20 years. And I meet and greet people on every weekend, and they ask me, where's the next place we should go see if they come to Railtown first? A lot of them are people are from Europe, Australia, England, all places in the world. And everybody remembers the gold rush. And we have the crown jewel of the gold rush here in Columbia. And because you're going to be facing a hard decision here, I've been here 20 years now, and we used to have 7 planning commissions, and it got reduced down to 2. There's the Tuolumne County Planning Commission and the City of Sonora Planning Commission. And I came here last time in the grueling ensuement of what you're seeing here again tonight. It's totally a bad dream. And I feel for you, but I would not like to see you guys change the decision of your planning commission, because they did a very fine job of reviewing this project, and I know what they do because we do it with the Historical Society Landmarks Committee. We volunteer our time to help you guys make good decisions. So I'm counting on you to make the right decision tonight. Thank you.
Good evening, supervisors. I'm George Cigarini, and along with my son Chris and daughter-in-law, are the newest business to open in Columbia State Park. That's the City Hotel Restaurant. Actually, it's an old business, but we're the new business operators there. One thing that has impressed us is the feeling of community and pride people have for this area. You have heard tonight many reasons why you have valid evidence to deny this appeal, but I have another thought for you. Many of you know me as past director of the Tuolumne County Chamber of Commerce, and for many years I was champion of the free market concept and economic capitalism that has made this country the greatest in the world. And I still am. However, I also learned, sometimes bumping up against my free market beliefs, that community has to play an important role in these considerations of free market. Once again, I have run head-on into this dilemma. Why? Because of the passion of the people you have heard here tonight. Their plea to maintain the historic atmosphere of their community. Community is defined as a unified body of individuals, the people with common interests living in a particular area, an interacting population of various kinds of individuals in a common location, and in this case, a common cause. And so once again, we have free market challenging community. Those of us who are elected to serve the people have the responsibility to balance these kinds of challenges. I urge you to come down on the side of community. With a Dollar General store only 10 minutes from the proposed Columbia location, I can't imagine that there is a dire need for another store in our historic setting. With 2 stores already in operation and more proposed for the county, I have to ask when enough is enough. Does a corporate entity located somewhere in Texas or Tennessee, wherever they are, know better what is best for the community to build in a controversial area? I submit to you, they don't care. But the community does, and would hope you side with them. Uphold your Planning Commission decision and deny this appeal. Thank you.
Good evening, members of the Tuolumne County Board of Supervisors. Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Mark Boyd. I'm a Columbia College graduate and a frequent visitor of Columbia State Park. I'd like to focus my comments on the Tuolumne County General Plan and more specifically the Columbia Community Plan. Before I do, I'd like to say that Tuolumne County can be very proud of the thoroughness and the careful evaluation that has gone into its general plan and the update currently underway. As a resident of Calaveras County, I can only wish we had a general plan of such high quality, and it gives me no joy to say that. Your general plan is your guide to land use decisions and provides legal justification to deny a land use proposal that does not conform to stated guidelines. The stated goal of the Columbia Community Plan is to preserve and enhance the community identity of the community area. This proposal fails to meet the primary goal of the Columbia Community Plan. One of the final statements in the introduction to the Columbia Community Plan states, considerable territory, considerable resources, and considerable visitors were carefully evaluated to ensure the economic viability and natural beauty of the community of Columbia for years to come. This proposal fails to meet the objective to ensure the economic viability of the Columbia community. I believe this proposal will have a dramatic negative impact on many of the small businesses in the park and the neighboring area, and these businesses play an important role in the historical character and charm of Columbia. It would be heartbreaking to see any of these businesses fall on hard times. So I urge the board to embrace the primary goal of the Columbia Community Plan to preserve and enhance the Columbia community's identity. Therefore, I urge the board to deny this mitigated negative declaration and ask that you work with the Columbia community to find a more appropriate and more acceptable use of this property. Thank you.
Hello, supervisors. Claire Baisley, Columbia Kate's Tea House. I've just celebrated 9 years as a part of a privately owned business adjacent to the state park. 2 points I wanted to make. One about employment. I believe there are many opportunities for small businesses to start. Even in this area, there are several park concessions available, of which any new businesses opening would be able to employ people. I'm currently accepting applications. I believe in my 9 years as an employer, I've probably given in excess of 50 young people possibly their first job ever. My second point, traffic mitigation. I've recently endured, and along with other businesses in Columbia, road work done during a time of year that is one of our primary opportunities to make money. The holiday season had several days where traffic was tied up, making it difficult for businesses that were open during this time to make the best use of good holiday sales. We understand that the road work is necessary, and we look forward to increased traffic because the roads have been made nicer. But knowing the kind of mitigation needed for the roads for a business like Dollar General, it is traffic improvement that needs to be done on the Parrots Ferry corridor, but there are things that we can do to improve the traffic and pedestrian use and possibly horseback riding use and bicycle use that could be for our community and not for Dollar General, because I believe that the kind of road improvement needed for Dollar General would cost in excess of $1 million. I'm not sure what exactly the proposed amount would be, probably more than $1 million, paid by taxpayer dollars. I'd like to see those dollars go towards the community. I don't believe that Dollar General's share of $35,000 is really fair. And if our Columbia businesses are going to endure the kind of traffic closures and road slowing, the kind of things that would take quite a while to improve the road for Dollar General, I'd rather spend that time enduring my business to be for the community. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Christine Gingrich, and my husband and I moved to Tuolumne County in 1971, and we have lived in Columbia since 1978. And we never wanted to live anywhere else in this county other than Columbia. We live 2 miles from the park. And two words had been coming to mind to me, and they were the words moral and ethics. So I decided to get my unabridged dictionary and look them up. I looked in my dictionary for the definition of the words moral and ethical. Moral, relating to dealing with or capable of making the distinction between right or wrong. To me, the Dollar General poses no moral dilemma. It is wrong to put that monstrosity 1/2 mile from Columbia State Park. Legal? Maybe. But since when does legal trump wrong? It never should at any level of government. We, the majority, don't want it. That should be enough of a reason. You are elected to serve us, to listen to our concerns and wishes, not the other way around. What has happened to a moral compass in government? By and for the people, not for the owners of the Dollar General. Put up one big box store and more will follow. Soon our corridor, our beloved historic park, will be an ugly array of signs and large buildings. Gone are the trees. I live just 2 miles away, and lots of times I go to Columbia park, especially when there's lots of people there. And I visit with tourists from all over the world. And they are so impressed with how wonderful it is. And it's not just a small town. It is a state park. I mean, that's a big deal. I mean, Jamestown, it's on the highway. Soulsbyville, it's not near a state park. That must be taken into consideration. It is a beautiful, wonderful community. And it's not just about the people of Columbia wanting this. This is good for the whole state. It's good for people worldwide. It draws in people. It gives them a good impression of California and about our gold rush history. So anyway, I hope you will take that into consideration and look in your hearts and find if this is right or wrong, if this is a moral decision, an ethical decision that needs to be made. Thank you.
My name is Joe Opie, and I'm a sixth-generation stakeholder in this community, such as a few of you are. The social and economic impact of this store, one more of three that are, or two that are already existing, one that's in the middle of proposition, and possibly more on the way, is going to be devastating to our community. I'm sure you all have thought this over greatly, and even though I apologize for the young lady who looks at personal gains by selling the property and anybody else who might be selling property to such a company, this has to be what is in the best interest for our entire community. Unfortunately, because of businesses like this, the larger, previously privately owned businesses that were in our community have slowly been dying off. And we've watched this over the last 20 years. I myself remember when Walmart was put in. I'm not personally against Mr. Joe from Cross Construction. But what I will say is that the economic plan of this business is not good for our economic plan as a community. We have many of issues, one of which is that I think Tuolumne County is one of the highest, if not the highest, on the welfare goal for the state. Funny enough, that is one of the stereotypical things that this company looks for when they target a community to put themselves in. I am opposed very strongly to the one in Columbia. I hope no more go in the community. I would also like to suggest that if it's not already in works on the general plan, that in the general plan workup, before you guys sign it in the contract, that you make a note that large box stores from out of the area may come into the area, but not in multiples. Have a great day.
Hello, my name is Kim Baker, and I'd like to first thank all of you for being here tonight and for holding the hearing here in Columbia in the evening. I know it's hard to sit through all this. It occurs to me that I'd also like to thank Cross Development, because in my 13 years as a resident of Columbia, including 5 working at Columbia State Historic Park, I cannot remember a single issue in this town where so many people had the same opinion. So I spent a lot of time driving today. I drove through Jackson to Sacramento, then through Marysville, Yuba City, then back down through Elk Grove, Natomas. I think mine is the only one that's on. And after all of that driving today, as I came back up into Tuolumne County, I exhaled, and it feels like such a very different world when you come up here. And this is why so many people do come here, and this is part of why we are preserving this town as Columbia State Historic Park and as a National Historic Landmark District. It means something. And this development is inconsistent in many ways, but most notably to me, it's about 4 times the size of the average other building in town, which makes it inappropriate. Columbia State Historic Park is an economic engine for the county, and I hope that you would uphold the Planning Commission's decision to help preserve this tremendous public investment we have here. So thank you very much.
My name is Nick, and I've lived here for about 16 years now. I used to own a retail store in Modesto, and after 10 years of success, there was a competing chain store that opened up not too far away. Effectively took half of my business. I moved here instead. That store that took half of my business went out of business a few years later, and that building is still vacant. Now, what I'm not necessarily worried that Dollar General would go vacant after a few years. I'm concerned about the people that surround it, the two markets that do business there that are around it. One thing I also wanted to say is a proponent earlier said that they were concerned that maybe this was because of who the tenant is, why we're all here. I think you could build an In-N-Out burger there and most people here would still be here. Well, maybe some. Lastly, I went to Ireland a few years ago, and I went to go meet the maker of an instrument that I play that was made in Ireland. And he asked me where I'm from, and I said, Columbia, California. And he said, oh, that's where High Noon was filmed. Can you do me a favor? Can you get me some candy from that candy store in Columbia? And can you throw a couple rocks in there too, just plain old rocks? He didn't ask me to throw a rock in there from Dollar General. Thank
you. Good evening, members of the board. My name is Jody Barnett, and I'm here to respectfully oppose the appeal of the Planning Commission's decision to deny SDP 14-003 and CUP 14-012. It's up to you to protect the rural and historic character of our community for today and for the future. Unfortunately, if you grant this appeal, then you will show the residents of their Columbia that their will does not matter, and you will set a horrible precedent that would allow for additional developments of this kind to change the landscape and reshape our rural identity. The signage alone, which requires its own conditional use permit, is not in keeping with the requirements placed on other businesses operating on this scenic byway. The magnitude of the proposed signage would seem to give Dollar General an unfair advantage over other businesses and shouldn't be up for discussion. Columbia has its own distinct character, and that's why people visit and return. While you may have to ignore the negative impact that Dollar General could pose to existing businesses, Columbia's economy, cultural community, and historic atmosphere go hand in hand. Small town business owners in and around the state park have worked hard to grow their businesses, to have the landscape sullied by this type of development. The design adaptations do not go nearly far enough to make the store fit in and to its proposed surroundings. And the multi-building facade does not change the fact that the store is over 9,000 square feet and nearly 3 times larger than any existing retail space in Columbia. At the last Planning Commission meeting where this project was denied, the developers stated that they had worked very hard to come up with the current design adaptations specifically to fit into the design review guide. But later he then stated that they put the same store in Weed and it looked great with Mount Shasta as a backdrop. So it seems that the design you are voting for today is in fact cookie cutter. It's good for Weed, it must be good for Columbia, but that just isn't so. This is a unique place with unique people, and once that is lost, soon our tourism dollars will follow. Finally, and most importantly, it is imperative that if this project is approved, either Cross Development or Dollar General will be made responsible for the restoration of the property once Dollar General is gone. It is an inevitability that in the future Dollar General will go out of business, pull out, or cease to exist, and when that happens, there will be a large, useless, empty building left as a mark of blight on our historic corridor. I would also like to note that this community would have not had the same opportunity to appeal this decision if it were not clear that the appeal fee was paid by us on time. Please do the job you are elected to and protect our historic corridor and the rural character of our community for the future. Just say no to Dollar General and deny this appeal. Thank you very much for your time.
Good evening. My name is Marge Ferry. I was born at Kaiser and Walnut Creek in 1957 and raised in Alamo. In 1989, I moved to rural Prospect, Oregon in the mountains. I bought a log home. And I recently decided I was tired of the mountains and looked for a place to live. And I ended up here. I just moved here in October because of its ambience, everything about the town. I could have moved anywhere. I could have moved to Idaho, Minnesota, New York, but I chose here because of the ambience, what it has to offer. I never planned to be in a dollar store, Dollar General, and never will be. And I don't think it is needed in this community. I can't see anyone in this room going to the Dollar General to buy anything. Thank you for your time.
Hi, my name is Cheryl Simons. I moved here last year to run a local business with my fiance. Two businesses. One is the Columbian Motel, the other one is 49er Mining Supply, which are both very fitting to this community. I also work at Claude's Market. I have been very welcomed by the wonderful community who also believes in Columbia, but more importantly, lives here. I am fully vested in this community. I believe in the progress of Columbia and its history, and that does not include Dollar General. While we do have flushing toilets, the history here is priceless. We also have many motel guests from all over the world asking about Dollar General and what's going on with the signs that are being posted. They speak of concerns with Dollar General moving in as they visit here because of the history, and to support our local economy is why they come, not to visit commercialization. They want to take a step back in time, and the design of a building does not tell a history of the past, but tells a future of what's to come. No to Dollar General. There is a proposal to a public equestrian center, which is very much the economic growth Columbia needs. We need to support that kind of business that fits into the 1850s identity. Also, the 5 to 8 jobs created with Dollar General doesn't even come close to the amount of jobs lost, not to mention the businesses lost, including the loss of tax revenue for the county. There are not unlimited funds in this county, and especially in Columbia. Dollar General is not going to create any more tax revenue, but take from other businesses. Columbia needs to move forward, but we should be moving forward by moving into the past. We are an 1850s town and should remain as such. Thank you.
Hello. I just wanted to get my 2 cents worth in. You're the representatives. Are you lucky? Look at these people. They're all here to stand up for their community. I moved here in 1982, and I've been around and about since. I drove through, and I was struck by how special this place is, and I knew this is where I wanted to be. We have a stagecoach. We have people riding in town. We have things no one has. This is the most unique community I've ever been in, and I have watched this community protect it, save it, and hang on to their local state park aspect. They're wonderful. You're lucky. Please support them. Say no. I don't even know why they want to be here. They don't look like they're welcome. Thank you.
Good evening. I am Greg Martin, and I am the Sector Superintendent for Columbia State Historic Park. The experience of visitors to Columbia begins far from the park's borders, and this sense of place begins when visitors get off the main highways of Highway 4 or Highway 49 and drive down the winding Parrots Ferry Road. In 2015, Columbia State Park was a destination for nearly 12,000 students who enrolled in one of our 382 educational programs. This is in addition to the nearly 7,000 students from the local Sierra Outdoor School. Of course, many more students visit Columbia but do not formally enroll in a program. In addition to the programs for students, 233 family interpretive programs and events were given, with nearly 10,600 people participating. While many visitors come to the park with no agenda, many visitors come to the park specifically for those programs and events. In 2015, nearly 22,500 visitors participated in nearly 615 educational programs. The devotion of nearly 200 park volunteers is a great example of how important Columbia State Historic Park is. These 200 individuals volunteered nearly 13,300 hours, so students and other visitors get an experience that is as authentic as possible. We are not against business or Dollar General. However, we, like the majority of community members you see here today, do not see it as appropriate to have this project in Columbia. It's a special place, a living example of the past. We have the opportunity to protect and preserve what Columbia means locally, statewide, and internationally. State parks in Tuolumne County cannot do this alone. It takes a collaborative effort of community, local government, and state parks to help ensure visitors get the full experience of their past. Let's make our community members proud of us tonight. Let's make sure Columbia lives into the future as an example that's not fragmented by commercial development of this magnitude. Future generations should enjoy this living town and its special characteristics that bring people from all over the world to absorb the rich history that this town represents. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak before you this evening. My name is Leslie Hartzell. I'm the Department Preservation Officer for California State Parks and the Cultural Resource Division Chief for the department. In this capacity, I'm here to offer comment on the Dollar General store development project under consideration. As early as 1928, Columbia was noted in a Frederick Law Olmsted Park Survey as the Gold Rush town to preserve. As he put it, for the very reason that the people of Columbia have been appreciative of the historic and picturesque qualities of the town and have felt a real local pride in preserving them, something you've seen clearly tonight. Columbia became a state park in July 1945. With the signature of Governor Earl Warren, he noted that Columbia has more and better historic resources for the Gold Rush era than any other place in California. Columbia is recognized as being of national significance and possesses exceptional value or quality in illustrating and interpreting the heritage of the United States. A concern was noted in the 1978 general plan that with the growing pressures of encroaching development and inappropriate commercialism in and around the park, the people of California and the nation are on the verge of losing the Columbia experience. Fast forward to 2014, when award-winning preservation architect Mike Garavaglia noted in a report that he produced for us on the cultural landscape of Columbia State Historic Park that today, the setting around Columbia is still largely rural in character. The modern buildings and traffic along the edge of the town encroach upon its historical setting, and the spread of development along the edges of the town threatens the integrity of that feeling. I'd like to end tonight by reiterating sentiments expressed in the park's 1978 general plan, in that the department supports Tuolumne County in its efforts to promote high standards of land development and preservation around Columbia, and will work with local governments and organizations to retain the park's historic rural setting. Thank you for your time.
Honorable Madam Chairman and members of the Board of Supervisors. I am Gary Newbert, a member of the Ad Hoc Committee to Keep Columbia Historic. The committee is here tonight to present findings which significantly support the denial of the Dollar General Store project in Columbia. You, the Board of Supervisors, for this appeal hearing of the Dollar General Store project, have been provided by staff recommendations for findings for approval, which has 4 findings, each with subparts. Staff has also provided recommendations for denial, which has 2 findings, each with subparts. We respectfully submit that the proposed project is not consistent with the current Tuolumne County General Plan, Chapter 15, Columbia Community Plan, as stated by staff in their findings for approval of this project. We also believe that there are a number of goals, policies, and implementation programs in Chapter 15, Columbia Community Plan, that were not included by staff when they selected the 2 findings for denial of the project. We would like to take this opportunity to present our point of view of additional findings not reported by staff, which we see as significant additional evidence for denial of this project. We have a series of speakers who will present facts and our findings for denial of this project, each within their allotted 3-minute time. This will be followed by concluding comments to emphasize our points that denial of this project is in the best interest of the people of Columbia. Denial of this project is necessary to keep the Parrots Ferry Road Gateway compatible with the Columbia State Historic Park, and denial of this project is desirable for the economy of Tuolumne County to retain Columbia as a unique and attractive tourist destination, uncluttered with inappropriate commercial development. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Rob Gorham. I own and operate 49er Mining Supplies, and I'm also the owner of the Columbian Motel here in the local area, and I support our community. Here are some applicable statements quoted from the introduction, Chapter 15, Columbia Plan. There are no large-scale commercial centers within the boundaries of the community plan. The city of Sonora provides the closest general services. Considerable territory, considerable resources, and considerable visitors, we all taken into heart and given their due into the preparation of the Columbia Community Plan to ensure the economic viability and natural beauty of the community in Columbia for the years to come. Goals, practices, and implementations of programs. Goal 15A, preserve and enhance the community identity of the Columbia area. Policy 15A1, retain the historic gold rush character of the Columbia community. Policy 15A2, maintain a rural, small-town atmosphere of the Columbia area by preserving a mixture of urban and non-urban land uses found in this area. Policy 15A5, encourage new development to be designed in a manner that is compatible with Columbia's historic agricultural heritage. Policy 15A6, require new development within the design review area to comply with the community design guide to preserve the historic of Columbia. Policy 15A8, protect and improve the scenic quality along the Parrots Ferry Road corridor as the gateway to the Columbia Historic State Park. Our committee's finding is this. Clearly, the intent of Goal 15A and its policy is to recognize the fact that Columbia is a world-class historic site which depicts the best provided history of California's gold rush. The gold rush is the greatest mass migration from all people all over the world in history up to that point until now time. Visitors come to Columbia and California, the United States, and many overseas countries to have the real gold rush experience. Columbia is a special place, a true asset to the Tuolumne County, which we must preserve for generations to come. Any inappropriate commercial development in or around Columbia would destroy the ambience, the gem of the southern mines. The Dollar General store is definitely inappropriate, and it would destroy the ambience. Commercial development to be located so close to our historic state park. This finding supports the denial of the Dollar General. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Dana Harvey. I live in Columbia, just down the road from the proposed site, and I also work at Claude's Columbia Market. I'm Dana Harvey. Implementation Program 15AA Design Guide. Continue to maintain a design guide for new development that reflects the historic charm of Columbia and require all new development within the design review area to be consistent with the Columbia Design Guide. Our committee's finding: the Columbia Design Guidelines were updated in 2013 by the Columbia Area Planning Commission and adopted by the current 5 members of the Board of Supervisors on May 21st, 2013. Implementation Program 15AA requires new development to be consistent with the design guide. This is a much stronger statement than the notion that the guidelines are just guides that are not necessary to be followed absolutely. The Dollar General Store is not consistent with many of the Columbia Design Guidelines. This finding supports the denial of the Dollar General project. Implementation Program 15AB, Design Review Area. Continue to maintain areas surrounding the State Historic Park and within the Columbia Community Plan boundaries as a design review area in order to encourage the design of new development in a manner that complements the character of the state park. Our committee's finding: the design review area exists around the Columbia State Historic Park and includes the parcel for the proposed Dollar General Store, which is Zone C1D MX Air. It is in the Columbia Design Review area shown on page 3, Columbia Design Guidelines. New development on this parcel should complement the character of the state park. The huge structure of 9,100 square feet for Dollar General Store certainly does not complement the smaller structures in the state park. This finding supports the denial of the Dollar General Store. Thank you.
Chairwoman Brennan and members of the board, my name is Chris Barsanti, and I've lived in Columbia since 1979. Our committee finds that we agree with policy 15A4, which is require commercial signs to be compatible with the historic character of Columbia. The proposed Dollar General signs do not comply with the goals, policies, and implementation programs of the Columbia Area Plan and the Columbia Design Guidelines. As staff has noted in their recommended finding A for denial of the conditional use permit, the proposed signage is not consistent with policy 15A4 of the Columbia Community Plan. The proposed signs do not meet this requirement. There is nothing historic about these signs. They are the exact same signs that one can see on any Dollar General store in any town, USA. We concur with the staff finding for denial 2A because the Dollar General signs are not consistent with policy 15A4. Implementation Program 15AG, signage, requires signs within the Columbia Community Plan boundaries to comply with the specifications of the County Zoning Ordinance Title 17 of the County Ordinance Code, except as follows. Design and appearance of signs shall conform to the Columbia Design Guidelines. Our committee's finding: as presented by staff in their recommended finding B for denial of CUP 14-012, design criteria number 10 of the Columbia Design Guidelines states that, quote, small, well-designed signs attract the eye and are supportive of existing local architectural character, close quote. The proposed Dollar General store signs are not small, nor do they conserve the architectural style of the Columbia community. The applicant has applied for an additional 50% increase, 195 square feet, 130 square feet, in the amount of signage a building of their size is permitted. The sizes of the proposed signs are anything but small. Rather than small, they are excessive in size, particularly when measured against the other commercial signs along Parrots Ferry Road. Neither do they support the local architectural character of Columbia. They do not, quote, have the appearance of wood, metal, or stone, close quote, nor do they, quote, have a hand-painted appearance, close quote. Both these phrases are part of design criteria number 10 of the Columbia Design Guidelines. We concur with the staff finding for denial 2B because the Dollar General signs are not consistent with the Columbia Design Guidelines and Implementation Program 15AG. That's it. Thank you.
I'm Leslie Davis, and I've been a homeowner in Columbia for 10 years. Implementation Program 15AH, Landscaping Requirements, require new development within the Columbia Community Plan boundaries to comply with the county's landscape ordinances and guidelines, except as provided as follows. Number 3, ponderosa pine and native oaks are species of local character for the Columbia community. Inclusion of these species in landscape plans shall be encouraged. Our committee's finding: there are 8 mature, live ponderosa pines that would be removed for the project during a time when ponderosa pines are dying all over the county. On page 53 of the negative declaration, the 3rd paragraph from the bottom states that actual installation of landscaping will be deferred until phase 3 water conservation measures are lifted. There is uncertainty when, if ever, the lost ponderosa pines will be replaced. This finding supports the denial of the Dollar General project. Implementation Program 15AI, new development within community plan boundaries. Review new development within the Design Control Combining District and Parrots Ferry Road corridor for its compatibility with and its impact on the historic structures within the state park. Our committee's finding: over the years since Columbia became a state historic park in 1945, many experts have studied the area and made recommendations. In his 1948 report, well-known landscape architect Frederick Law Olmsted Jr. recommended landscape easements. And as stated in the Columbia State Park General Development Plan, published in 1979, just 36 years ago, quote, Columbia has more and better historic resources from the gold rush era than any other place in California. However, with the growing pressures of encroaching development and inappropriate commercialism in and around the park, the people of California and the nation are on the verge of losing the Columbia experience. Let's not discount those experts. Putting a Dollar General store on Parrots Ferry Road at Hauser Lane is aesthetically unappealing, and its large size will overpower the historic buildings of our gem, Columbia State Historic Park. This finding supports the denial of the Dollar General project. Thank you.
Leanna Rhodes, Parrots Blacksmith, 18 years, 20-year resident. Implementation Program 15.AK, Design Control Combining in Parrots Ferry Road. Consider designating all properties fronting Parrots Ferry Road as Design Control Combining in order to encourage the design of new development in a manner that enhances the, quote, gateway entrance into the town site of Columbia. Our committee's findings: the large, quote, big box nature of Dollar General store, typical of commercial centers in large cities, is what the tourists come to Columbia for a gold rush experience are trying to get away from. It should not be the major structure they see just before entering the Columbia Historic State Park on the Parrots Ferry Road, quote, gateway. This finding supports the denial of the Dollar General project. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Claudia Carlson with Claude's Columbia Market. My wife and I own that. I'm here to talk about the economic viability of our community. Goal of 15B states to provide a mechanism for growth in an orderly manner that balances the needs and interests of the Columbia community. Policy 15B1 states to coordinate development in the Columbia area that meets the needs of our community. Our committee's findings: the economic needs of the Columbia community are very simple. We need local businesses aligned with the 1850s spirit. Local works. According to the Civic Economics of Retail Studies from 2002 through 2012, which I gave Bev earlier, The overall impact of local business as compared to chain stores per $100 is the surplus of local businesses to the local economy is 58% over chain store businesses. When square footage is concerned, that surplus goes up to 70%. When we consider the recirculation of dollars around our community, local business dollars recirculate 4 times more than chain store dollars. Now, no one expected this huge discrepancy at the beginning of this study, including the authors of this study, that finding out how much wealthier communities are with local businesses as opposed to chain store businesses was a shock. This finding supports a denial of the Dollar General store. 15B3 states to encourage the development of commercial development, which provides economic opportunities to the community while preserving and enhancing the quality of life in Columbia. Our committee's findings. Not only does our quality of life revolve around the 1850s, but our economic viability does as well. Formula retail is not an 1850s creation. If we Columbians wanted this type of formula retail, we never would have chosen Columbia as our home. Economic opportunities defined by Wikipedia is, quote, an act to mobilize the human and financial resources to combat poverty, unquote. Cross-development said the Dollar General will provide entry-level jobs. However, most of the DG employees in Tuolumne County are between the ages of 20 and 60, working full-time while still needing government assistance to survive. Working for a corporation is different than working for a mom and pop. Mom and pops, or in our case, mom and moms, businesses offer their employees benefits that chain stores do not. The creation of new jobs cannot be counted unless they are offset by the number of jobs lost and businesses closed, which has happened in nearly every community where the Dollar General has gone in. Also, all profits from the Dollar General will be shipped back to Tennessee instead of recirculating the before-mentioned 4 more times in Tuolumne County. It is clear that the major benefit of this project is to the developer and their tenant, not to the residents and visitors of Columbia. This finding also supports the denial of the Dollar General project.
Hello, my name is Lisa Taylor and I'm co-owner of Claude's Columbia Market. Thank you for being here in our town tonight. Implementation Program 15B.D, provision of commercial amenities, require new commercial development to provide the following. Number 3, parking lots should be encouraged to be constructed compatible with the natural lay of the land and should be located behind central buildings or should be screened along lot lines. Our committee's findings, the Dollar General Landscape Plan, page 8 of the negative declaration, shows this project will not have the parking located behind the central building. Landscape screening will be used along lot lines instead. However, on page 53 of the negative declaration, 3rd paragraph from the bottom states that, quote, actual installation of landscaping to be deferred until phase 3 water conservation measures are lifted, unquote. With ongoing drought conditions likely, lot screening with landscape vegetation will be an ongoing problem. Parked cars at the Dollar General store would be very visible from Parrots Ferry Road. This finding supports the denial of the Dollar General project. And since I have several seconds left, I'd like to give my 2 cents. This is something that a very wise woman that I've known for 26 years told me, and it makes a lot of sense. Building a Dollar General in Columbia is akin to building a Walmart in Yosemite. Can it be done? Of course. We humans are capable of worse atrocities, but should it be done? Absolutely not. And that was quoted by Claudia Carlson.
Excuse me. I have a request for the owner of a Honda Civic license plate 4HTX 08, it's blocking a gate and needs to be moved. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm Marilyn Fulham. Implementation Program 15BH, Mixed-Use Development. Encourage compact, pedestrian-oriented mixed-use development to promote a more efficient use of infrastructure, social interaction, and complement our historic town patterns. Our committee's findings. The Dollar General store is not compact and has not been designed to be pedestrian-oriented. There are no planned pedestrian walkways across Parrots Ferry Road near the proposed Dollar General store. Widening of Parrots Ferry Road and 40 parking spaces in front of the building does not complement our historic town pattern, nor is it consistent with Caltrans' Complete Streets program, which recommends streets diet and walkable communities in line with placemaking and context-sensitive solutions. This finding supports the denial of the Dollar General project. Goal 15C, promote the development of commercial and industrial businesses to meet the present and future needs of Columbia's residents and visitors. Implementation Program 15CF, retention of commercial zoning. Encourage small-scale, pedestrian-friendly commercial development on existing commercially zoned lands to provide basic services and thereby increase convenience and independence of movement for community members. Our committee's findings. The Dollar General store will be the first big box store typical of large cities to be located in Columbia. It certainly is not a small-scale, pedestrian-friendly commercial development when compared to other commercial development in the Columbia area. Examples of appropriate commercial development would be local homegrown enterprises such as farmers markets, grocery stores on the scale of Claude's Market or Barn Rights in Jamestown, breweries and cafes. Independent movement for community members must reflect a slower pace and way of life absent of commercialism and hype. We concur with the staff finding for denial 1A because the Dollar General store size is not consistent with Implementation Program 15CF.
Good evening. Thank you for coming to Columbia, and you're getting quite a welcome, I see. I get the boring part. I'm going to talk about traffic, specifically the intersection of Springfield Road and Parrots Ferry Road. As you can see from the aerial that Bev just handed out, Springfield Road is the chief access to Columbia from the west. It's critical during the AM peak period where the current level of service is C, which is, of course, fair to middling. The addition of the Dollar General will put southbound traffic during the AM peak period head on against the westbound traffic in Springfield. So the good news is there is an ultimate mitigation for that, and that is the realignment of Springfield Road. The bad news is the realignment of Springfield Road is not on the current countywide circulation improvement plan. It is on the 2010 Columbia master plan, but it's not on the countywide plan. So when the realignment of Springfield Road happens, it's problematic. It's further complicated by the fact that the land that needs to be taken to achieve the realignment of Springfield Road is owned by the state of California, by the state park, who's on record as opposing the project tonight. So you have a mitigation for the project is the realignment of Springfield Road, which may not ever happen, and if so, will happen in the far future. So I would suggest that there be at least one condition, if you decide to approve this, and that is that the project not go forward until that realignment of Springfield Road happens. Until then, you have a dangerous head-on situation with the people coming into town in the morning on Springfield Road, taking a left to come to work at the school, at the airport, or at the park, and the people coming southbound from the north to turn into Dollar General. They're sharing the same two-way left turn lane. So I would recommend that if you do approve it, keep that condition. Okay, I got a few seconds left, so I'm going to make one other condition of approval. Retail cyclical. There may be a Dollar General store next year. There may not be a Dollar General store over there 4 years from now. I suggest a condition of approval when there's no longer a Dollar General, tear it down and haul it away. Thank you.
My name is Phil Reese, and I am a 22-year resident of Columbia. I was also on the Columbia Planning Commission for 12 years, and then during that time, the commission rewrote this Chapter 15 of the Columbia Community Plan, so I'm quite familiar with it. If you haven't been keeping score tonight, I want to remind you, staff found 2 findings for denial. Our committee has found 9 policies and 10 implementation plans for denial of this project. Our committee's position is that the denial of the project is in the best interest of the people of Columbia, as you've heard from the presentations tonight. Denial of the project is necessary to keep the Parrots Ferry Gateway compatible with Columbia State Historic Park. Denial of this project is desirable for the economy of Tuolumne County as a unique and attractive world tourist destination with inappropriate development. Wants to be uncluttered by inappropriate development. You Board of Supervisors created one planning commission out of many, and it's a hand-picked group, and they're very much a part of this community. As you are well aware, they denied the project at the commission hearing back in December. This project was denied by a solid 5-2 vote of the Planning Commission. We can draw an analogy here to the judgments made by football officials these days when they say the ruling on the field stands unless there's indisputable evidence to overturn it. Is there indisputable evidence tonight to overturn the Tuolumne County Planning Commission's decision to deny the Dollar General store in Columbia? Our committee emphatically says no. We ask you to uphold your Planning Commission's decision for denial and when you take your vote later this evening. Again, I want to thank you for being attentive to our committee's thoughtfully prepared presentation tonight, and we've done it in 3-minute segments, and it's probably run about 30 minutes. Maybe it's time for a break.
Speaking to the break, I'm very pleased to stand before the board tonight. 2.5 hours in that bleachers has rendered my rear end pretty leaden, so I'm pleased to be standing. I have a few random unprepared thoughts to share. In regards to the number of the inexpensive stores in the county and the planned build-out, my take is 7 of them. And at 49,000 or so people, do we need 1 store per 7,000 residents or visitors? I'm impressed with the developer and the Dollar General's conceit that they think we need 4 or 5 Dollar General stores in the county. I don't think we do, but that's just my opinion. In regards to the tax revenues that the developer said that the county would generate instead of the city of Sonora, wherever the stores in the county, there's going to be the same dollar amount generated as far as taxes go. Regarding the tactics of what I understand is before the board tonight is a decision to build the building, yes or no, and it's separated from whether the store is there or not. The building is before you, the store will come later. If you allow it to be built, I'm sure that the Dollar store will come. And that's not something I'm in favor of. Thank you.
My name is Veera Modi, and I'm the partner with R&R Grocery Store. One thing I want to know is you guys are for the people, and everybody here says very clearly that we don't want Dollar General. Then I think it's very, I will say, common sense to say against it, because everybody in the room says no. Second thing, Dollar General on the Parrot Ferry Road will need expansion of the road. and Dollar General says they will put 34,000. Even just to renovate my small parking lot, it takes much more than $34,000. So who will pay for the extra dollar amount, which we will put in expanding the roads? No matter the people in the county. So we are paying for Dollar General expansion. Second thing, Dollar General has underestimated water usage. Look at just go to the Jamestown Road, Dollar General, and you will find how much water usage they are using. Second thing, this is sales tax revenue. Again, I don't have to say anything. Go to Jamestown and see how much sales tax they are paying and how much revenue we will got more from them. It's general knowledge, you know. In a small county like that, if they can provide $1.2 million in sales tax, I think that will be amazing. I think each person probably will go doing nothing else than spending all the salary in Dollar General, you know. Even then, they won't be able to get that much sales tax. That's for sure. And also, another thing, economic impact. County has failed to communicate to RNL as well as Claudia Market, as well as the people in the state park, that what will be the effect of having Dollar General in the Paris Ferry Road. Also, another thing, the planning commissions in South Carolina, North Carolina, Maryland, Minnesota, they have all rejected Dollar General application. Then why a small community like Columbia, which is historic, we want to destroy it? It just doesn't make sense. Let Columbia remain a historic place. People are here because they love historic Columbia town. They don't want big stores. If they wanted big store, we would have had a lot of big stores long time back. But we always denied that. Even the signs, even for my store, if you want a bigger sign, it was denied, right? Because it was not with the thing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Carl Baker from Columbia. One of the findings, actually the finding that was provided for the Planning Commission to consider for denial of the project was the scale of the building. I'd like to address the building and the site plan as what we're actually considering here. I don't really care that much about Dollar General or what. The building is out of scale with the community, and that is in conflict with the design guidelines. The approaches to try to make it seem in scale is to put fake things on it, fake windows and doors. If you look around town, I don't see a lot of fake windows and doors, so I'm not sure how adding fake windows and doors makes it more consistent with the community. The other big concerns are the signage. We have a road that has a 25-mile-an-hour speed limit on it. There's no need for oversized signage. It's not like people are flying by and are going to miss it. The other concern that I have is our new general plan, and I realize it's not adopted yet, has the distinctive community strategy. It's something that the county's been working on from the blueprint. It's going in the RTP. It's in the general plan. It's how we're supposed to be seeing these communities evolve as walkable, bikeable, transit. The whole thing is supposed to work. We're working with infill so that we don't have to drive everywhere. When I look at the design of the site plan, I see that if I want to walk to the store, I have to walk all the way around the fence, up across the entrance to the parking lot, and then across the parking lot to get into the store. If we want to have infill and we want to encourage people to have a different way of getting around in our town, we need to start thinking about how we design our developments and what we're going to approve. clearly, we don't have sidewalks all the way up and down Parrots Ferry Road to get everybody to the store to make that all work. But you have to start somewhere. This thing, whether it's got a Dollar General in it or not, is going to be around for many, many years. When we do get sidewalks in, you're going to have this goofy auto-centric development that doesn't fit in with what we're supposed to be planning for. I made these same comments for the ISMND. I made them for the Planning Commission. I haven't seen the proponent make any concessions about changing the design of the project. When people, thank you.
Hello, I'm Brian Kermeen, and I consider myself a resident of Columbia for the last 40 years. Randy Haddonvelt is my supervisor. I live up the hill a couple miles from here. I just visited my mother in Arkansas, my 93-year-old mother, and I've done that over the last 30 years since she retired there with my father. He passed away. Anyway, going through the rural villages of the Ozarks that are a lot like the foothills here in California. I first noticed in the early 80s these Dollar Generals going up in small towns, and I didn't think too much of it unless I was driving at night, and then those yellow signs dominated everything. Going through towns by the name of Toad Suck, Pickle Gap, Rears Ferry, etc. Not too long after the yellow signs were there, I began to notice other large neon signs like Hog Wild Liquor. I did patronize that business, by the way. But then came Sonic Burger, you know, and so Dollar General wasn't the only one, but it was a trend. I've heard words tonight like character, identity, context, setting, authenticity, and I think all of them come into play with what we're talking about in the decision to be made here. Well, before I conclude, I wanted to reemphasize what I've heard several people talk about, the pedestrian needs on Parrots Ferry Road. If we don't have a sidewalk, at least we could have a usable side on the road that people could safely bicycle or walk. Putting the Dollar General here is like drinking a fine wine from a plastic cup. It's a matter of taste. Some people may not care, but most who, I think, have better taste would care. Please vote in favor of good taste tonight. Okay? Thank you.
Do you ever wonder why Dollar General came to Tuolumne County and said, I want to build 5 stores? They don't like you. They don't like me. They're not going to shower you with tax money. They're at war. They're at war with Dollar Tree, the 99-cent store, and other dollar stores that you don't even know about in the Midwest and back east. And they're poised to win, and they believe the corporation with the most assets, brick and stone stores, will win. And then there will be none but the Dollar General. That's bad enough. But what if they lose? Is it going to be a Dollar Tree? What if they become big enough that someone really wants to buy them or forces them to sell, and it becomes a Walmart? If the building is not there, that can't happen. Thanks.
My name is Tom Prager. I'm a local businessman in Columbia, and I've been a 40-some-year resident of the area. And I can remember doing business with the Columbia Mobile Station. Okay, the Martins were good personal friends of mine. I went to their funerals, I went to their weddings. That property was polluted then, and that property, I'm sure, is polluted now. Nobody knows that there was a well on that property. It's It's not mentioned in the environmental analysis that was presented to the Planning Commission. They say they pulled the tanks out of there. They pulled 2 tanks. I personally watched the Martins put in a tank during when they had to have unleaded fuel. It was too much money to have Mobil do it, so they went out and bought a used tank. Now, these are the days of single-wall tanks. Nobody has ever core drilled that property. And when you went in a bathroom there, they always told you, don't smoke in the bathroom. Don't smoke in the bathroom. Well, you know why? Because when you turned the water on, it came out of the well that was right exactly where on the environmental assessment on that property shows a limestone outcropping. That is where the well was. Okay, they covered that well up when they supposedly cleaned the property up. They claim in the environmental assessment on the property that they took a diesel tank out. The Columbia Mobil never sold diesel. They never had diesel. There is possibly another tank in there, and I can tell you from personal experience, that property is polluted. If anybody ever core drilled that property, they would see that property is polluted, I'm sure to this day, because it doesn't just go away. Now, I don't think this project should be allowed to be built on there, nor any other project should be allowed to be built on that piece of property until a thorough environmental assessment has been done on that property. I know the county signed off on it years ago, but that was years ago. And as we all know, lots of things got signed off in the county years ago. Okay, now before anything gets done on that piece of property, this project or any other project, let's run a core drill or just go dig up that well casing and take a water sample. It's very simple. And I'm sure you're going to find petroleum products in that water. Thank you very much.
My name's Ron Sawyer, and we live just a couple miles from here. I've lived there for 18 years. And as you can tell, we're passionate about this little community. And these people have flown in here on their corporate jet, and if they can get their star built, they don't care whether we like it or not. If I wanted to move here as a private citizen, and I found all these people here didn't want me to move here, I sure as hell wouldn't move here. But these people don't even care. They have no interest in what we care about at all. They're interested in dollars. And I feel like we shouldn't be here tonight, none of us. We shouldn't have to plead for this little community. If you people were doing your job, we shouldn't be here. Everything we've told you, you should have been able to figure out on your own, and you should have rejected this project way before now. I hope you will. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Dio Mills, and I own this town. Some people would dispute that, but I've been at the City Hotel many times during the feast, and no one has said otherwise, so you're talking to the owner. I do not like unfair competition, unless it's me, so I would encourage you to think about the people that have been here for so long. I would like to invoke the memory of Harry Wright, if I may. He would dress in a top hat and walk up and down Columbia Street. I know some of you were children in those days, and looks like all of you were children in those days. And think about the future. You are deciding what great-grandchildren will be doing here. Will they be looking at bright neon signs and wondering what stars were? Or will they be able to walk out on the streets of Columbia one summer night and look up and see those twinkly little things that are disappearing from many of our night skies? I would implore you to remember in 50 years, I doubt hardly any of us will be here. You're talking about the future. I've coined a little phrase that I would like you to think about, and it's that our present to the future is the past. this is what you're offering many generations to come. The decision you make tonight will fade from our memories, but it will be lived by many more generations to come. Thank you.
I'm Diane Harrington. I'm a docent at Columbia State Park. I've been there 8 years, and I can't stress enough to counter that it's not that far. It's not going to impart anything negative on the historic experience, but it does. These children, these 10,000, 12,000 children that come to our events, they prep before they come. So when they come, the excitement starts building, particularly when they see how rugged and all those exposed limestone, and they can start picturing. And then when they enter the city, you know, the magic happens. So it really is part of the experience, the anticipation, getting a bite at a time. And then my fear is the big box store, 9,000 square feet. Columbia have a residency of 2,000. That's just the beginning. One takes residence, and then the others will try to move in, and that will really change the experience. So please don't be enticed by the increased tax fees. There are other ways to use that property. The owners could sell the property for more appropriate businesses that can expand the Columbia experience. Not to mention our youth really needs activities, they need training, fun things for them to start building their future as young adults. And that might be a good location to combine the two. Columbia, it's the gold rush experience, which really the whole world was affected by it. That changed our whole culture, and so many things in California. California never was the same after that. So please take this to heart, and I hope you make the right decision. Thank you.
My name is Don DeValley, and I just recently moved here, and I know quite a few of the people that are here, and they're more eloquent than I am. But I just want to recap what I heard, and I'm hoping that the summary might help you make your decision. And I feel like this is the problem with government. I'm standing in front of people, and I don't know what your decision is going to be, or if they got to you or not. I don't know. But we've talked about the traffic patterns. We've talked about the stoplight. We've talked about the lack of water. We talked about this box store here is not going to create any jobs. In fact, if they hire anybody, I'll bet it'll be less than 19 hours a week. You know, minimum wage. It doesn't create any jobs here. We talked about the loss of mom and pop stores. Walmart killed a lot of mom and pop stores I used to go to. These people are break-even operations. I mean, the mom and pop stores here, and in some respects, I'm now one of them. It's a break-even operation. We love the park. I've been coming up here for 35 years again, and in that time, my children have come up here, and I finally retired up here. I'm working my butt off, if you call that retirement, because I'm helping restore the park in all the ways I can. And I talk to all the visitors that come through the park, and I send a lot of visitors here because I'm in the lodging business. And the Europeans love this place. They come here because they've got this romantic idea of an old West ghost town. And they just love it. I don't want to see them go by a box store here with a big ugly sign, and that's going to destroy their idea. We need tourism here. This will not bring us tourism. Tourism brings us dollars. Dollars are spent on the mom and pop stores, in the park, and around the park. We don't need a box store here. And I just learned from listening to my neighbors, there's 12,000 these Dollar Generals. 12,000! One being built every 6 minutes. We don't need one here. There's one in Jamestown and Solseyville. I didn't know that, but now I do. Why do they have to come here? And if I want to go to a store, Sonora's only 10 minutes away. We don't need that here. Columbia is unique. It's the gem of the gold mining 1850 area. People flock here to see that. Don't destroy the corridor coming into it with an ugly box store. So I'm going to call it quits, and just thank you for listening to me. And God, do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak in opposition to the project? One more, and then I think we're going to take a quick 10-minute break.
My name is David Kelly, and I'm a happy docent at Columbia State Park. Do we have to go to a higher authority to get this corrected, like they did in New York City a century ago with the miracle on 34th Street? If so, I make an appeal for another miracle on Parrots Ferry Road. Lord, please keep Columbia historic. No Dollar General. And if you want to take these two gentlemen back to Texas and Tennessee so they can build a store right around the corner from the Alamo in San Antone and Davy Crockett's house in Tennessee, I will not stop you. Amen.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak in opposition?
My name is Jamie Johnson, and I was born and raised in Tuolumne County. I have been afforded the opportunity to travel to numerous places and work outside this community for lack of opportunity here. And one thing that I really love is to be able to talk about Sonora and Tuolumne County and the community that I live in. I recently bought a house here in Columbia. And one of the things that really stands out no matter where I go is people do not know where Sonora is. They go, do you mean Sonoma, where the wine is? No. But they do know where Columbia State Historic Park is. And they do know what it stands for, and they do know what it means. And they do know how important it is for our future generations. And when I think about my daughter and what she will experience, I hope it's the dig-ins and things like Columbia State Historic Park and not the Dollar General. The Dollar General is not the history that I want my daughter to know and experience. And I think it's really important for you guys to understand and keep that in mind. And I thank you for doing what you're supposed to do and facilitating the democratic process that has brought us all here today. And you are continuing to do that by listening to us. And again, I thank you for your efforts.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak in opposition to the project? All right, we will take, it is 9:12, and so we'll take a quick 10-minute break. All right, is there anyone that would like to speak neutral, that is neutral on the project? Anyone that would like to speak neutral?
Dollar General is the only, business we can attract to Tuolumne County. That's what we're settling for. Like, I just don't understand that. It's like, it begs the question of like, what kind of place we want to have. Dollar General is not a stupid corporation. They do their research. They know where they want to go. There's a reason they want to come here. What is that reason? We need to ask that question and answer it. Thank you very much.
All right. Is there anyone that would like to have rebuttal? That would be a proponent, someone who spoke in favor of the project that would like to have a rebuttal.
Hi, Joe Dell with Cross Development. Believe me, I know what this can open a rebuttal. So, but I feel like I have to at least again state that Dollar General is not on trial here, although it feels like they are. Really, what we're supposed to be reviewing here is the site development permit for a commercial development, a 9,100 square foot building, and all the findings that were presented earlier from the Columbia Plan, Chapter 15, 1 through X or whatever it was, is all findings that I think are not findings for denial at all. They're findings for conditions that the board can impose, that we sit down to the drawing board and we continue to work on the plan to make it compliant. But in order to do that, we have to have guidance from somebody to help us do that. I can't go build a 1850 wood structure and make it compliant to every aspect of the Columbia guidelines. In fairness, it just won't work. But I can work with county staff. I can work with the community to design the building that I'm proposing to build, in which the tenant is proposed to be Dollar General, but it's truly just a commercial building where I can look at size, I can look at sign. I mean, there's other things that have just recently that can probably help guide this a little more. I'm able to shrink the building down. I can go as low as 85 by 85, which makes it 7,200 square feet. That's something new that just kind of came to the table to us as developers recently. So I can redesign the site, given that 85 by 85 building, to make it more compatible with the surrounding area. Landscaping is not a huge issue. I can plant ponderosa pines instead of the trees that are specified on the landscape plan. We hire a landscape architect to follow the guidelines in the general plan and in the zoning ordinances, and I hope that she is, and if they aren't, then we adapt. But so you guys have another option to not approve or deny, but approve with conditions that we do actually try to conform to the guidelines a little better than we already have. I mean, I do feel we've come great lengths to conform to many of the guidelines in the Columbia Design Guidelines. Maybe not all of them, some of which don't apply, mixed-use developments and things like that, but for commercial development for our particular parcel, I think we have gone above and beyond typically what we would see done in a Dollar General store. So just thank you again for your time, and would just ask that you, for the findings and approval, county staff is correct in their findings for approval, and I support their decision as well, and I think you should as well. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak in rebuttal? All right, seeing none, we will move to Sir rebuttal. And please only address what was said in rebuttal.
Yes. I don't think there's anything in their past performance that would indicate that they could successfully do a good job of building a building that fits well into Columbia. So we should not accept what he is saying that they can, because we've seen that they can't. They have not. They had quite the opportunity. They had quite a bit of guidance. They showed where their priorities were. Their priorities were in cost saving, not in getting the appearance right. Thank you.
I think we're here tonight for you to make a decision based on the project that has been presented to you and the findings that exist now, not on maybes for the future that you've heard from the proponents.
When he said that the staff will work to develop a good design for him, when is the county staff paid to design places for developers or anyone that wants to come in here? I don't think that's their job. Thank you.
Excuse me. I am looking for the people that did this research. They are very credible sources. One works with Caltrans, one works with the state parks. They did intensive search and found that Dollar General, even though that's just the client and the renter, has a history of smaller stores throughout the country, throughout the nation. So for Mr. Joe Wildell, whoever, I'm sorry if I don't get your last name, representing Cross Development, to say there's a late-breaking news flash that they could reduce the size by some incremental amount, to me is nothing but smoke and mirrors. And I know I see through it. I hope everyone else does.
I would say to Mr. Dell that he has had ample time between December 16th, when just about all of these arguments were made, until this hearing, to make those changes, to ask staff to pull the project as proposed and come forward with some ideas on making changes that would meet our objections. And they have not done that, so I have a hard time believing that that is what they're going to do in the future. Thank you.
You know, I listened all night long. I even spoke, and I heard what they had to say. I think it was a really nice sentiment. The truth is that I think, like the other gentleman said, it's all smoke and mirrors. If they really thought that they were going to try and fit into this community, they could have done it from the very beginning. Try and make it something that would fit in better, something that would be more productive for this county. It's been nothing but farce, and this is just another farce to try and get you guys to make a decision in their favor. I think you've been shown all night long that that's not the right decision. Thank you.
As for making the buildings smaller, I think we have expressed that we don't want them. We don't want their products. We don't want their cheap stuff from China. And as for putting in Ponderosa pines, those pines are probably between 50 and 100 years old. Do you have any idea how long it would take them if they got a little seedling and put it in for them to be what they are now? Come on.
He's mistaken if he thinks this is not about the Dollar General. It is about the Dollar General. It's about every single big box store or chain store that wants to come into Columbia. We in Columbia do not need chain stores here. It would diminish our economy. The civics economic study that I gave you points to the fact that it is not good for our community, but it not only is it not good for our community because of that study, it's not good for our community because it doesn't. Those types of businesses do not fit into Columbia. They are not 1850s. They will never be 1850s, no matter what they do to the building or what trees they plant where.
Thank you very much this evening for coming out and listening to all of this. You've had the opportunity this evening to listen to a great number of the people that live right here in this community, like myself, retired and moved up here to this community. You've heard one reason after another, everything from traffic to the size of the building to the proposed signage to the vendor that intends to occupy the building. And I see the whole community standing before you saying, please, no, we don't need that here. And we need to protect our history for our children. I teach gold painting in the park as a volunteer. I've spent my whole life coming up here to get out of the Bay Area. I came up the hill to lower my stress, to get away from Dollar Generals and other stores like that. We need this little nest egg to remain a little nest egg, and I thank you again very much for listening to everybody tonight, and I appreciate a no tonight for the store and the building. Thank you.
For those of you who have not abstained from voting, there have been plenty of reasons brought before you as to why this should not go through. And I realize that you have to follow legal guidelines. This has to be set by law. As far as them negotiating with the size of the building, doubtful. If it was so, they would have gone below the 6,000 square foot, and they would have already had the plan through without having to come to a committee. Once again, Joe Opie opposed to having this contract go through in this county. Thank you.
It's specifically clear that the objective here is a business negotiation, and they're working hardball right to the end. It's very strange that this was brought up about a reduction in size, late breaking news, as somebody said. I have to look and say, I'm going to say it. You know how a Texan, you know he's lying? His mouth is moving. I've done business with a lot of Texans over the years. Some honest, some really shrewd. But what was just presented here, I consider an affront. It's an affront because it was dishonest. This should have been brought forward before if they truly wanted to do a design, had the concept of a smaller store, etc. But to bring this as late breaking news, and we can work on this at this late moment, is a negotiation tactic in business, and it's just business. It's all about business, money, making it happen. But the fact that it's not honest business. That's what's wrong. It's lacking in integrity, and I'll go back, and I think that's the summary here with this whole concept. It lacks the integrity for this community. This community doesn't need that. And this just represented another piece of the lack of integrity that's being brought here, and it's clear. So please support your Planning Commission's denial of this project. Thank you.
I'll try to keep my voice down this time. I want to thank you for the opportunity to hear us tonight. Much hats off to y'all. You know, running business, I had to meet certain criteria, certain guidelines, certain codes, and I had to make all of my buildings fit. I had to make the business fit. I had to do this through plans, blueprints, coordinations with the county. They had to be inspected, stamped, and approved. Not at any point in time, if I had missed those deadlines or missed those approval times, I could not say, wait, let me restructure and redo what I need to be done, step one. They never afforded me the opportunity to say, but wait, there's more, just like some of these commercials we hear. Thank you for your time.
Seeing no one else that would like to speak and serve rebuttal, we're going to close the public hearing, and then I'll bring it to the board for questions.
Okay, first of all, let me say thank you to all of you who came out tonight. Quite an impressive turnout. And what can I say? And I have to tell you, when that little girl, wherever she was, that got up here and spoke, I got to tell you, you got to feel good about America when your kids are willing to get up and speak like that. That took a lot of courage. I was very impressed with her. And this is democracy in action. This is the process. It's clear that some of you didn't understand the process. It's the first time we've heard this. We read a lot of pages. I kept saying it was 748 pages. It was 758 pages, and then numerous letters and even things that came in today. A lot of work behind this. A lot of people did a lot of work, and a lot of people got up here and did a lot of thoughtful presentation here. So I want to thank you for doing that. That's part of the process, and I think I speak for the board, we appreciate when you talk to us. A lot of people called me and talked to me about this, and I appreciate that because I don't know what's in your mind unless you talk to me, and I know the others feel the same way. So, where am I in this thing? My DNA likes competitive business in the community. That's just where it comes from. I like that stuff. It's good for the community, but it has to be responsible. I love Columbia State Park. I love Railtown. I take friends there. It is unique. This is a unique place. I live here too. Not in Columbia, but close. And oh, you can't hear me in the mic. Okay. Thank you. So it's important we do this right. Now, as for the proponent, it's not just about the building. I mean, buildings have to be taken in context of what's going to be in the building and what the impact of that business is when it goes in there. So I'm sorry, sir, but I don't agree with you on that topic. And the other one is someone said we have to deal with what's been presented to us, and I agree with that. We're not here to redesign, renegotiate a project here. So we've got to deal with the situation that's at hand. Now, here's some of my problems. The location. Several people mentioned traffic. That's a problem for me. I've come out on Springfield Road, not at school peak traffic hours, and tried to make a left turn on a Parrots Ferry. I try really hard not to do that anymore. I don't like that turn. I don't like the lines of sight. I think it's kind of dangerous. I don't even like coming out of that road and making a right turn because of the way you have to do it. So I really don't like the current situation there. And if there's excess traffic during school hours, I would just never do that. So anyway, I think we've got a traffic problem there right now. And my question I asked the county council, and she gave me an answer, was there's a proposed mitigation for that problem. But is it really mitigation if it isn't implemented? Okay. In spite of the answer that it may be under certain circumstances, my history with public works projects going forward and getting done on any length of time or any timetable isn't very good. They never put off till tomorrow what they can put off to the day after tomorrow. They just don't happen on schedule unless they're there. So, and I'm not sure that even solves the problem. Parrots Ferry Road is not my favorite road to walk on. I don't think I would do that, and certainly in off hours. So I think there is a problem with pedestrian traffic there, and by the way, whether Dollar General's there or not, I think that's a problem anyway, and maybe the county ought to be looking at that, and maybe the Columbia community ought to be looking at it like Jamestown looks at doing it, and improving things. So this isn't about dollars to the county. I don't know who got that idea. It's about what's right for the community, in my mind. And someone did go do an analogy I liked to the football game, changing the decision when it has to be sufficient evidence to do that. I'm sorry. I'm just not at the point where I'm convinced that we should change the Planning Commission's decision. So that's where I am.
Okay. Well, since there's only 3 of us and we got to get 3 votes, it sounds like it's already done, but I had to listen to you guys all night, so now you get to listen to me. So, there's a lot of points that were made, a lot of thoughts that I had, and I just want to use this opportunity to make some additional points. And one of the things that was consistently stated was how special Columbia is, and I agree. My grandma Arlene is here tonight, and she drove a school bus for Columbia Elementary for probably 30 or 40 years. I'm not sure exactly how long, but I remember when I was a little kid, her taking me to the egg cellar, and that used to be like my favorite thing, is go get a grilled cheese sandwich at the egg cellar. I remember going to the Springfield Trout Farm and going riding the stagecoach and all those kinds of things. So it's a special place, and that's something that's important to me. And one of the reasons I'm on this board is because Tuolumne County is a special place to me. Another thing that is very important to me is my sense, or not important to me, but something that is part of my identity is my sense of right and wrong. And you know, it's tough to sit up here and you know, you face a crowd of people and you listen to everybody, and in the end, you know, I don't take a poll of everybody out there and vote based on how many people there are trying to sway us one way or another. I vote on what I feel is right or wrong, deep down inside of me, based on all the information that I have. And you know, I didn't really know how this was going to go tonight. The bottom line for me when I make a decision is really I'm driven by I feel like I'm here to defend people's rights, and I ran for this position a long time ago because I felt basically I had a chip on my shoulder. I didn't really like the county, and I thought they were a pain in people's butts and difficult to deal with, and I felt like they violated people's rights and affected the prosperity of our county. And that's really, I felt very passionately about those things. And things like the planning commissions, we had a whole bunch of planning commissions. I'm kind of off the agenda item, but like I said, it's my turn to talk. And so one thing I just want to make this point to Phil and Chris and some of the people, that I think that was a difficult decision dealing with those planning commissions, but I want to say that the process I think that we put in place works, and I think that everybody got a chance to be heard, and I think that the right things will be done for the community. So I just want to share that. When it comes to Dollar General, I'm not a fan. I think the things that they sell are low quality. But I also feel that that's not something that matters. What matters is, well, you get to vote with your dollars. Every time you choose to spend $1 somewhere, you vote whether you want that business to be in business or not. Sitting up here, it's not our job to decide who gets to be in business, who gets to be a viable business. That's the job of competition, and that's an American value that is very dear to me. So my decision has nothing to do with that. My decision has everything to do with the aesthetics of the building, the character, and is it consistent with the policies and plans that we have in place. We heard about, you know, impacts related to traffic or the historic character of the community, the economic competition that it would impose on existing businesses, the architectural elements of the building, the community identity, specific things like the signage, the impacts to the park and tourism. So when it comes to some of these things, I think really where I'm bothered the most is the architectural character. I'm bothered by the appearance of the signs. That's the deepest flaw I see with the project, is the appearance of the signs. The color, the materials, the size, the font. I looked at it. There was examples in our project that showed some of the old historical signs, and there's different fonts. Some of those things really are what add to the architectural character, and so I'm not okay with the signs as they're shown. The square footage of the building doesn't bother me. There's other buildings around that have larger square footage. That's not the problem. Well, I'm not talking about, well, let me just finish. I'm not willing to vote against this project just because it's Dollar General. I don't like Dollar General. I won't spend my money there, but I'm not going to vote against it because it's Dollar General. I do feel that the project that's proposed is inconsistent with the Columbia Community Plan, and the sign specifically is a problem. The elevations of the building are also a problem. If you look at the conceptual designs in our packets, there's a facade which it was mentioned has fake windows, fake doors, and it appears cheap to me, and it appears low quality. I like pre-engineered metal buildings, but not with a cheap facade, and so I'm rambling now. It's hard not to ramble after one of these things. There's so many things going through our minds. I think it's too difficult to impose conditions in this forum. There's a lot of subtle elements that matter. I think I wouldn't be opposed to this project moving forward if the conditions were right, but they're not right. And I don't think we can do that right here. So that's fundamentally where I'm at.
So I'm going to have the final word before we have a motion. And first, I want to thank all of you. I really do appreciate the fact that you didn't come out just once, but twice, now and before the Planning Commission. And I really appreciate that. And since I had the privilege of chairing this meeting tonight, I really do appreciate the respect that you showed in your thoughtful comments and the points that you made. Last week, I was out here, I sat out at the site on Thursday afternoon for an hour when school was getting out. And there are traffic issues. And I have some very serious concerns about a number of the items that I've read in this report that had to deal with traffic. The other piece, and I heard it time and time again, is what does Columbia State Park mean? Columbia State Park is to history. It is as significant to the California history as Yosemite National Park is to natural resources. I really do believe that. And I actually, I think I heard someone made a comment about that, putting a Walmart or something in Yosemite. I don't think any of us would really ever dream of that. And so I have not been convinced that this project meets the design review for Columbia. And certainly, again, Supervisor Hanfeld mentioned it with the football analogy. I have not been convinced in a way that I would overturn the decision that the Planning Commission made. So, with that, I would ask my fellow supervisors to make a motion.
Item 2?
Yeah. Before I make a motion, I just want to one more comment. Every other week, basically, our board meets and we, all day long. I don't know, somebody's mic starts. Thank you. So 9 in the morning, first and third Tuesdays, all day long, our board's there. And usually by the end of the day, there's nobody in the audience. Nobody usually cares about what's going on. They have no clue, except for maybe Carol. Yeah, Carol's usually there taking notes, which is cool because at least somebody cares. But this agenda item, this project, really caught the attention of a lot of people. And like I said, most of the time people don't pay attention. And there's a lot of really important, this is an important thing, but there's always really important things that affect our county. And people don't pay attention. So I just want to ask you to continue to pay attention after this. And not only when you're opposed to something, but try to be for something as well, because that's something that's really hard to do, is be for something, to propose projects. People mention that they're not anti-growth, they're for smart growth. And so I would encourage you in the future to participate and try to help us promote prosperity in Tuolumne County. And so thank you. With that, I'll make a motion to deny the project based on findings 1A through B, 2A through C.
I'll make a speech, but thank you, sir. I'll second that motion.
All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Meeting's adjourned.